What if Edward was a single father? Episode 1. Edward Pav. Cullen. Let's go, I don't have all day here, just finish laying that last brick and then we need to get out of here. My god, does he always have to yell. I'll be done in a sec. I yelled back. Yeah, it seems like all I do when I work is yell. Not because I like to, but more that I need to, considering how freaking loud it is around here. 1 minute it's the sledgehammer that is annoying the shit out of me, then it's my boss, Al. But I don't complain about the job, because I don't have a choice, one way or another. I need to support my girls. My beautiful angels. I get back to work and make sure I am doing my job as perfectly as I can. I can't afford to mess up. This is the only job I have been able to get since I was forced to drop out of college about 4 years ago. A week after my parents practically disowned me. Which is a different story in itself that I try not to think about. I smoothing out the concrete on my last brick for the evening and then wipe the sweat off my dirty head. It's a fucking hot day in Boston today and I'm stuck here working my ass off. I put my tools away and then rose from the uncomfortable position I was in on my knees. Once I was standing straight, I stretched out my limbs and tried to make the soreness go down. You would think that after 4 years of doing this shit, I would get used to all the uncomfortable positions I'm always in, but that's not the case. I wipe my hands on the piece of cloth hanging out of my jean pocket, and then reach for my phone. I flip it open and check the time, 6:19, perfect. Now I can go home at an earlier time than usual and spend some much needed time with my babies. Oh, and I don't have to pay the babysit as much I would normally because she gets to leave early. I walk down out to where Al is waiting and take the stupid yellow hard hat off and run my hands through my hair out of habit. I fucking hate wearing that stupid thing. I just don't get why I have to wear it all the time. I mean, I was just laying brick, for God's sake. It's not like a big boulder is going to come out of nowhere and hit me upside the head. Oh well, it came with the job, and I need this job, so I just need to stop complaining. Al was waiting in his beat-up blue pickup looking annoyed as hell. Great. I opened the passenger side door and then slipped into the seat. As soon as I got in, Al started the engine and sped off. You did all right today, Cullen, even though you took forever to lay that brick. I'm sorry, Al, I was just nervous, you know. Considering this is the first time I have ever done anything like that on my own. I'll get better, I promise. I believe you, Edward, that's why I promoted you. You're a good kid, but you need to get faster. We are working with a time frame here. He said. Thanks, and I understand. That was the only real significant conversation we had during the 30-minute drive to my apartment. Al was telling me all about his conquests in the local bars. Al may be 47 years old, but he sure knew his way with the ladies. He had almost a different girl every night. The filthy bastard. Once upon a time that was me. The guy with all the girls he wanted. But things change. People change. I began to get anxious as we pulled onto my street. I just needed to be with my daughters. I've missed them so much. 12 hours is just too damn long. I always felt like such a horrible father when I went to work in the morning, but I don't really have a choice. They need a roof over their head and food for their mouths before anything. Finally, Al pulled out front of my apartment. I gathered all my stuff, tool belt, phone, stupid hard hat, said bye to Al and practically ran up the stairs to my apartment. After running up the 3 flights of stairs, I finally made it to the door and could already hear my youngest, Avery, giggling away. I took my keys out of my pocket and opened the door, and a huge smile spread across my face when I saw one of my reasons for breathing running towards me and calling my name. Daddy, you home? My angel screamed and ran straight into me. I bent down and scooped her in my arms and held her close. Hello, my love, how has your day been? It was fun, Daddy. Wos helped me BWOW bubbles today. Did she? That's great, baby. What do you say we go find your sister and then we can start making some dinner? Harper is in our room wedding or something. I chuckled at Avery's mispronunciations. I know I should be correcting her so she can learn the right way to talk, but come on. That shit is just too cute to try and stop. I walked into the living room where I knew Rosalie would be while still holding Avery. Only now she had her head resting on my shoulder and her hand on my cheek. As I walked into the living room, I saw Rosalie was already packing her stuff to go. Poor girl, she was probably aching to get out of here. Maybe I should still pay her the regular amount even though I came home early. Hey Edward, wish I could stay and chat but I kind of want to go see this guy the first met at school. That's fine Rose, I understand, you're young, go out and have fun. Just make sure that guy is treating you right. Oh shut up, Edward, I'm 22, only 2 years younger than you, don't start acting all old and wise. Well I am older, and wiser, and prettier. Whatever dork, I gotta go, she said while walking towards me and Avery. She kissed me on the cheek, and then Avery. Bye Avs, I'll see you tomorrow, be sure to tell your sister I said bye, by Edward. She said as she was walking out the door. See ya, me and Avery said at the same time. Once we realized it, we both stared at each other and laughed. Come on you copycat, let's go see your sister. I walked out of the living room and down the hall to Harper and Avery's room. It always made me feel bad that they had to share a room, but there wasn't much I could do about it at the moment. This little apartment is the only thing I could afford right now. It only has one bedroom, so I was already sleeping on the couch at night. I didn't really mind though. As long as my girls are comfortable. I opened the door to their room and smiled at the sight before me. Harper was laying on her stomach in the middle of her tiny bed with the first Harry Potter book out in front of her. It always amazed me how smart my baby was. At 7 years old, Harper was an avid reader. She would try to read whatever she could get her hands on. Once she heard the door open she was snapped out of her daze and looked up at me and smiled. She climbed out of the bed and ran to me and wrapped her tiny arms around my waist. Daddy, I didn't even know you were home, when did you get here? I bent down and picked her up onto my other hip, holding both my angels. I just got here about 2 minutes ago, I got to come home early, so what do you say to some Avery Harper daddy cooking tonight? Yay, they both yelled and squirmed out of my RMS to run into the kitchen and put their aprons on. This was something special that we did together whenever I got a chance. This wasn't very often due to my long work days. I usually got home around 8. And they went to bed at 8:30 so I usually only get to hang out with them for a little while each day, so today was definitely a gift, and it called for some daddy-daughters cooking time. I made my way into the kitchen and paused at the door watching my girls interact. Both of my daughters were breathtakingly beautiful. They both had my hair, which was a weird bronze color. Luckily, their hair wasn't messy like mine though. Harper's hair was almost pin straight, whereas Avery's hair was more curly. More like hers. Only my baby's curls were much more beautiful. They both had my green eyes. But they also both had her pouty lips. Which again, were much cuter. Harper was currently helping Avery get on her pink butterfly apron. Harper has always been a perfect big sister. She is always willing to help Avery and teach her things. She thought since Avery was only 3, and Harper was so much older than her, she needed to teach her everything. But don't think they are perfect together all the time. When those two fight, it begins to look like World War III. But minus the fights my girls were amazing. Whenever I saw them, I always felt so proud that they were mine, that I raised them. It wasn't easy for me when Harper was born, considering I was 17 years old at the time. I didn't think I was cut out to be a dad, but once I saw my baby's beautiful, chubby face for the first time, everything became about her and there was no way I was going to fail. Hey girls, I'm just going to get changed because I'm all dirty, but I'll be right back. Why don't you get the stuff out for some grilled cheese and carrots with ranch dressing? Okay, daddy, they said in unison. I smiled and made my way to the closet in the hallway with all my clothes in it, and went to the bathroom to shower and change. When I got back they already had 6 slices of bread buttered and ready. Wow, look at my little chefs, learning fast. They both giggled and told me to hurry up because they were hungry. After we ate dinner and the girls took their baths, it was time for our nightly ritual. Every night, no matter what, I made sure to lay and read with them and talk before they went to bed. Even if I knew I had to work until midnight, I made sure I came home just for a little while and read to them and hear about their day. This was my favorite time of day because it was a time for me to just spend with my girls and listen to all their little stories and be amazed how much they have grown up. And den bewake threw up all over, Miss Snow, and she made a face like this. Avery made the most cutest, Usted face she couldn't had me and Harper laughing hysterically at her. That sounds really disgusting baby, did you try and help Blake after her was so sick? She looked at me with the biggest are you kidding me face and said absolutely not daddy. That's disgustin'. I chuckled at her cuteness and pulled her down to lie next to me. She rested her head on my chest and sighed, she must be getting tired. I turned to look at Harper whose head had already been on my shoulder and asked her how her day was. It was all right I guess she said quietly. You guess. Didn't you learn anything new today? Or play WITH the other kids during recess or something? No. Why not? Because I just didn't, okay. She said, irritated. Is something wrong baby? I asked in concern. She never usually snaps at me. No daddy I just want to go to sleep now. All right baby. I slid out of her bed and carried Avery with me. I placed a sleepy Avery into her bed and tucked the covers around her and kissed her forehead. Good night, Avery Grace, I love you. Love you, daddy, she mumbled. Then I walked back to Harper's bed where she was already curled up under the covers. I walked over to where she was facing and knelt down by the side of her bed. I pushed some strands of hair that were falling in her face and kissed her forehead also. I'm sorry if I made you upset baby, but if there is something happening at school that you need to talk about. You know you can talk to me right? Yeah I know, but there is nothing wrong. Okay baby, I trust you, now why don't you just go to sleep? Tomorrow is Saturday, so I was thinking we could go to the park. She smiled slightly and said that sounds good daddy. I kissed her forehead one more time and mumbled good night, my angel, I love you. I love you too, daddy. I rose up from my knees and walked out of the room and left the door cracked open just a little. I made my way to the bathroom and brushed my teeth. Then I went and made sure all the doors were locked and all the lights were off. I left the hallway light for last so I could get the pillow and blanket out of the closet for me to sleep with. After I got them, I laid down on the couch and settled in for sleep. I thought about Pooh TTING on the TV just so I could watch something for a while, but then I thought better of it when I thought of the electric bill. So I just laid there waiting for unconsciousness to overtake me. This was the worst part of my day. When I'm not with my girls or working my ass off, I am forced to realize how lonely I actually am. I haven't had an actual girlfriend in over 8 years, and that sucks, I'm not gonna lie. But it's not just a girlfriend that I don't have, it's just anyone. I haven't had anyone that I could just talk to about my day. I don't have someone that I can talk about my girls to and tell them how amazing they are. And how much I love them. I don't have anyone to tell me you're doing good, Edward, or I'm proud of you, Edward, or anything. The only people I'm closest to, besides Harper and Avery, is Rose and Al. And they both have helped me immensely, but they still have their own lives to live. And it sucks sometimes, having no one. But then again it's not so bad, because I have my girls. And they were my reason for living. And everything I do is for them. And as long as my girls grow up as strong people, are cared for, and loved, and never have to feel my loneliness, then all of it will be worth it. Because they are all that matters. I want to hold you. Protect you from all of the things I've already endured. I want to show you all the things that this life has in store for you. I'll always love you, the way that a father should love his daughter. Zoe Jane, by Stained. Bella Pav. Everything was dead silent. The only noise was the sound of my breathing and a couple of cars outside of my bookstore. This wasn't unusual though, considering it was in fact a bookstore and people are usually quiet, but right now it's quiet because it is a half an hour before we open and I'm just setting up the computer system for the day. I have no idea what hell I'm doing. Why does it have to be so complicated? Why can't I just have a simple cash register? Oh, right, because Daddy said no. My name is Isabella Marie Swan, and my dad, Charlie Swan, is practically a billionaire. He is like the god among all the computer nerds of the world. He is right up there with Bill Gates. Actually, they are good friends. And he comes over for dinner sometimes. I don't really know how to explain what computer stuff he created and is famous for, but I do know it is all very high-tech, and fast, and everyone loves it. My dad is famous throughout the world, which meant my whole family was, including me. But with this fame, comes a life with absolutely no privacy. If I ever go out with my many friends, there is a paparazzi always following me. And I hate it. Well, there are many things that I hate about the life I live. I hate that I have over 2,000 friends on Facebook and there are only 3 I consider actual friends. I hate that my father is always trying to make me seem like a perfect angel all the time. I hate that my mom may or may not be cheating on my dad with her boss. I hate that I own a bookstore and a coffee shop, and I did shit to get them. And I hate that every day, I meet people who are fake. I hate that I am forced to be fake. I just hate this. I own a bookstore, Bella's Books. Original right. Well, it wasn't my idea, it was my father's. And I also own the coffee shop that is inside of it, perk up, corny right. Again, Daddy's idea. I never get to make my own decisions. I have asked my dad about it and all he has to say is something like, sorry Bella, but we can't have anything happen to this family that will make us look bad. I never really got why it mattered though. It's not like he needs any more money, he's like the second richest man in the world. I really just want to get away from it all. I wish I could just throw my phone away, not Avenue it ringing 24/7 with friends and family members wanting to talk to me and hang out with me. Can't they just leave me alone? Then once my phone was gone, I'd go far away from Boston, maybe Seattle. And go to college and work for what I have like normal people do. Maybe I'll even change my name, Patty Von Higgenheim. There, that works, no rich chick would be caught dead with a name like that. I finally got the stupid computer contraption to work, I think, when my phone starts ringing. I answered without looking at the caller ID because it doesn't really matter who it is. Hello. Hey Bella. My best friend Alice called from the other end of the phone. Now this isn't bad, Alice is my best friend. She is the most real person I have ever met. I love her to death. Hey Alice, what's up? No. Thing much jelly belly just wondering if you would be up to some lunch today. Yeah, that sounds good. I have at least 6 people working today so I think I will be able to slip away for a little bit. Where are we going to go? I was thinking McDonald's. She said. Are you serious? Yeah sure, why not? I could really go for a Big Mac right now, oh and a McFlurry. See what I mean? Alice doesn't care what other people think about her. Even though she is just as famous as me because her mom owns a hotel ring. Most people like us wouldn't be caught dead eating at a McDonald's. But not Alice, she doesn't give a shit. And that's why I love her. Alright you nut, sounds good to me. Okay, I'll meet you at the bookstore at noon. She said. Oh and hey Bella, why don't you go out with me and Jasper tonight, we are just going out to eat. And then maybe a bar afterwards. Well I don't know, I feel kind of awkward going out with just you and Jasper, I feel like the third wheel. Duh, don't you think I know that? There will be other people silly. Emmett is going with Mike, Angela, Ben, and Jessica she said loudly. Then not so loudly and Jake. I don't think so Alice I really don't feel like dealing with Jake at the moment. Jacob Black is the son of one of my dad's colleagues, and is eager for his 15 minutes of fame, and he thought I was the way to do that. I guess he's not technically a bad guy, but why time the guy is in the same room as me, he is always hitting on me. I guess he thinks one day I will realize what a stud he is and get right on that, but yeah, no. He's huge, not like fat huge, but muscles huge. And that is such a turn off for me. And I don't want to be with a person who is trying with all his might to be on the cover of magazines. Oh come on Bella, he's not that bad, I'll try and distract him with other girls if I can. Can you please just go out with us? Sorry Alice but despite Jake being there, I really can't go. I'm open late on Mondays now. We close at 9:30, so after Eve here I really just want to go home and sleep. Fine whatever, but I'll get you to go somewhere with me this week if it's the last thing I do. Alright Alice, I'll see you at noon. K, bye Bella. See ya I replied and then hung up and got ready for my wonderful day to begin. It was about 9 o'clock at night now, and I really just wanted to close down so bad. I want to go home and watch some less sitcom to just clear my head for a little while. The bookstore was completely dead. So it was just me again in the dead silence. That was until my dad called. Hey Dad, we need to talk Bella. Great, here it goes. Did you really have to go eat at that germ hole this afternoon? Dad, me and Alice we just craving some grease and carbs, it's not that big a deal. Well I think it is, when I see story. saying that I'm going bankrupt and have to resort as low as to make my own daughter eat at Mick, whatever it's called. I have an image I need to uphold here, Isabella, and I don't need you to ruin that. Don't I give you everything you want? So please just give me what I want for once. Whatever, Dad, I said while hanging up, tears pooling in my eyes. Jesus, I just went to McDonald's. Why does he have to put this pressure on me? After wiping my eyes with my sleeve, I looked to start cleaning up and closing for the night since it was already 9:20. As I was finally getting the stupid computer system to close down, I heard the bell ring over the door. Are you fucking kidding me? We close in 5 minutes. I walked around the counter about ready to rudely tell this customer that we close in 5 minutes and they need to hurry up. But when I looked up at the man walking toward me, anything I was about to say got caught in my throat. This man was beautiful. He was slowly walking toward me looking sort of nervous. He had on a pair of worn-out jeans and a white t-shirt with a black jacket over it. He was also wearing some worn-out black Converses, and he looked as sexy as hell. He was at least 6 feet tall, if not taller. He wasn't ridiculously muscular, but he wasn't lanky either. He had the most confusing hair color I had ever seen. It was brown, but it wasn't brown. It was red, but it wasn't red. Whatever the hell it was. It was beautiful. He had a strong and structured jaw with thin lips and a perfectly angled nose. But his eyes had to be the most breathtaking. They were just so green. And so beautiful. Once I was done ogling this perfect man, I realized he finally made it up to the counter and was looking at me expectantly, and all I could do was stare. Excuse me, ma'am, I'm really sorry that I came in this late. I know you are closing soon, but if you could just help me, I'll be out of here in no time. He said softly, in his velvety voice that gave me goosebumps. Sure, what can I help you with? Well, I promised my daughter that if she cleaned the bathroom, I would buy her a new book, but I'm not really sure what to get her. Crap, he has a daughter. Does that mean he's married? I took a quick peek at his left hand, and thank the Lord, there was no ring. You made your daughter clean the bathroom. Oh shit, that was rude, wasn't it? Crap, he's going to leave. But he didn't leave, and he wasn't offended. He just chuckled a beautiful chuckle and said, I know it sounds kind of bad, but they have to learn to clean somehow. Yeah, I guess. I replied, glad he wasn't mad at me. I just wanted to keep on hearing his voice. So how old is your daughter? He smiled a brilliant smile when he started talking about his daughter and said, oh, she is 3. She doesn't really know how to read, but she likes me to read funny books to her, I guess. So if you have any suggestions for a funny book that a 3-year-old will like and a father won't feel embarrassed to say he has read, that would be great. He said with a crooked smile. This guy is just too damn cute for words. Well, I would suggest Amelia Bedelia then. It's a really funny book that almost all kids love, and I like reading myself. Did I really just tell this hot guy that I read Amelia Bedelia? What a dork. That sounds great then, I trust what the book expert says. He smiles again and I find myself smiling along with him. Okay, well, right this way. I walked out from behind the counter and walked to where I know Amelia Bedelia was. Once I got there, I took out the book from the shelf and handed it to him. Here you go, you will enjoy it, trust me. Maybe even more than your daughter. I hope so, I'm trusting you here, so if I go home and don't laugh once at this book, I'm blaming you. Well, if you don't go home and laugh at this book, then I would begin to think you are not human. Well, maybe I'm not. Well, maybe you won't like this book then. Oh well, I'll buy it anyway, because I think my human daughter will love it. Okay, good, so can I help you with anything else? Actually, yeah, you wouldn't happen to have Brave New World, would you? Yes, I do. So fan of sci-fi, huh? He looked kind of embarrassed and I felt bad if I made him feel bad. Yeah, I am. But I haven't really been able to read any lately, so I thought it would be a good idea to get one so I can have something to read. You are a fan of sci-fi and haven't read Brave New World. Don't they have kids read that in high school? Yeah, didn't really get that far. He laughed nervously. And then I really felt bad. He must think I am such an insensitive bitch. Oh, well, here it is. I don't know why they make kids in high school read it anyway. Most of the time they don't even appreciate it for what an amazing book it is. I completely agree, but don't tell me what happens. He said playfully and smiled. Oh, I won't. I smiled right back because, really, how couldn't I? I led him back to the counter and rung up his 2 books. Okay, your total is $16.78. He was still smiling before I said the total. But once I did, his smile faltered, and he dug into his pockets and pulled out a $10 and $5 bill. He looked nervous and kind of embarrassed when he said, I think I'll just get the Amelia Bedelia book then. And maybe I'll come back another time for Brave New World. He then took 2 Twix bars off of the counter and handed them to me. But I'll take these, my girls love them. My heart ached for this beautiful man. He couldn't even afford 2 books from a bookstore. I never had to experience something like that. I could afford everything. He looked embarrassed beyond belief too. And I just wanted to tell him it was okay, there is no need to be embarrassed. Someone as beautiful as him shouldn't feel anything short of happiness all the time. And it's not just his beauty that made him deserve happiness. He just put away what he wanted and got something that would make his daughters happy instead. That is amazing. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do something so nice before in my life. Okay, then your new total is $6.99. He gave me the 10 and I gave him the change. He took $2 out of the change I gave him and put it in the tip jar. I don't understand this guy. Why would he give me money when he obviously needed it? I wanted to tell him to take it back, but there was no way I would be the reason for his kind smile to not be on his face, like it was right now. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry I don't think you told me your name. It's Bella. Bella. Well, thank you again, Bella. I'm sure I will be back eventually. My oldest is the biggest book fanatic there is. So I think I'll bring her by some time. Well, every Saturday we have someone come in and they read to the kids. There are raffles and giveaways also if you wanted to bring them then. Does it cost anything? No. It's completely free, except for the raffle tickets and stuff. Okay, well, I will definitely see you then, Bella. Thanks again, he said while grabbing his bag and making his way to the door. Excuse me, sir. I practically yelled across the store. He turned around instantly and looked at me expectantly. Do you think you could tell me your name? Maybe I can give you your daughter's some special VIP access on Saturday. It's Edward. Edward Cullen. I'll see you this weekend, Bella. Have a good night, he said kindly. He's always so kind. Bye, Edward. He left out the D word and I sat there thinking about what just happened, in the silence. Oh, how I hate the silence. I wish I was still listening to his voice. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. Lie awake in bed at night and think about your life. Do you want to be different? Try to let go of the truth. The battles of your youth. 'Cause this is just a game. A Beautiful Lie, by 30 Seconds to Mars. Edward Pov. Who knew nay trip to a bookstore would fuck up my brain. It was really quite annoying. Every time I had time to think, I would think about that day. I would think about that beautiful woman that was so nice to me. Bella. Bella indeed. But with thinking about Bella, also came the feelings I felt that night, and not just the good ones. And my God, weren't there good ones. When I first saw her, I think the breath went out of my lungs. She was small, maybe 5'3" or something. She was thin, but not anorexic thin, she was just perfect thin. She had long, wavy mahogany brown hair that framed her face perfectly. She had a heart-shaped face, with ruby red pouty lips, and pale skin. And her eyes were dark brown and just perfect. Looking at her made me feel calm, happy, and nervous as hell. While I was there I felt like such a lowlife. A guy that can't even afford to buy 2 damn books. But she didn't say anything or make fun of me. I was afraid she was going to though, because there have been times when a worker would make some kind of rude comment, or just flat out make fun of me. But I don't care, I'm doing my best. I was excited this morning though, because it was Saturday. Not only would I get to see Bella today, but my girls will get to have some fun. I feel like I don't do enough fun stuff with them, and I'm 100% sure my girls, Harper mostly, will absolutely love today. I was still laying on the couch. Considering I just woke up about 2 minutes ago, I reached over to my phone that was on the coffee table that was in front of me and checked the time. 7:07. Great. The girls usually wake up around 8 on the weekends and they wake me up. But not this morning, because my brain is all jumbled up with thoughts and visions of Bella, and it's making it difficult for me to sleep. I got up and stretched a little. Then folded up the blanket, and brought it and the pillow back to the closet. After everything was cleaned up, I went into the bathroom to take a piss. Once I was done with that, I went to check on the huge cut on my shoulder. Yesterday, at work, one of the guys didn't properly put away his fucking sharp tool, and it fell right on my right shoulder, leaving a huge cut behind. I took the gauze off of it and winced at the sight of it. That shit is gross. I cleaned it up and put more gauze on and then went to get some clothes to wear for the day. I decided on a pair of jeans with a red t-shirt. It's not like I had much of a selection, but Avery likes my red shirt, so I figured it will have to do. After I got dressed, I went into the kitchen to see if there was anything that I could put together for my girls to have for breakfast. It wasn't very often that I made breakfast for them, which made me feel like a piece of shit. But they have breakfast at school that is free to them, thank God. I looked in the fridge and saw that we only had milk and water. Great, that means I need to get groceries, with little to no money. Other than the milk, water, and random condiments. There was a carton of eggs. I took it out and saw that there was only 2 left. Perfect, now my girls can eat. I took the eggs out and put them on the counter and went searching for some bread. There were 4 pieces left, and 2 of them were end pieces. That's alright, if my girls don't like them I'll eat them. So scrambled eggs and toasted as then. Right as I was pouring the eggs into the frying pan, I heard a pitter-patter of little feet on the floor. At the noise, I turned and saw Harper standing in the doorway wiping the sleep out of her eyes. "Good morning, baby. I made you some eggs. So I hope you are hungry," I said while breaking up the cooking eggs in the pan. "Yeah, I'm hungry, Daddy, thank you," she said while yawning. She walked over to me and took my hand, making me turn towards her. She held her arms out, silently asking for a hug. I put the spatula down on the counter and bent down to hug my daughter, and kissed her temple. "I love you, baby. Why don't you go see if you can wake your sister, so her food isn't cold?" She pulled away and nodded, then went down the hall to their room. The eggs and toast were both ready and on the table when Harper re-emerged in the kitchen looking irritated. "Daddy, Avery is being very difficult, and won't wake up, even after I told her there was food." I chuckled at the cute face she makes when she is mad about something. "It's okay, I'll get her. Why don't you sit down and start eating, I'll be right back." She nodded her head and took her seat at the table. I walked into the room and saw that Avery was indeed still fast asleep. I went and sat on the side of her and began rubbing her back, trying to get her to wake up. "Avery, sweetie, why don't you wake up and have breakfast with me and your sister?" "Me no want to. I wanna sleep," she said curtly. I smiled at her because she was always like this, she was not a morning person at all. "Well, alright then, I guess I will just have to eat all of your eggs, and toast with jelly. And then if you are still sleeping later, I'll have to eat your ice cream too." Her head shot up. "Ice cream?" I laughed at her expression. "Yes, ice cream, me, you, and Harper are going to have a fun day today. And I have some extra money for us to get some ice cream." "Okay, I'm up," she said while climbing out of bed and running into the kitchen and yelling, "Harper! Harper! Daddy said we can go have ice cream later." I got up and made both of their beds and made my way back into the kitchen and sat down. They were both eating silently. That is until Avery went to grab for a piece of Harper's toast. "Hey, you already ate your own toast, so leave mine alone, you brat," Harper said. I saw Avery's eyes fill with tears and I felt my heart break, like it always does when either of them would cry. "Harper Elizabeth Cullen, don't talk to your sister that way, all you have to say is no to her, there is no need to be mean," I said in my most stern voice. Harper just rolled her eyes at me and said sorry to Avery. "Here, Avery, you can have my piece of toast, okay?" She nodded, so I took my other piece of toast and gave it to her. "But Daddy, you need to eat some breakfast too, you only had one piece of toast," Harper said. "That's okay, honey, I'm not that hungry anyway," I told her, and she just nodded her head and looked away. It always touched me when my daughters would worry about me, but it also made me sad because they shouldn't have to worry, that's my job. They shouldn't have to worry about anything at all. Blank. Later on, around noon, me and the girls were leaving the house and I was driving toward the bookstore. I didn't tell them where we were going so it would be a surprise. I looked in the back seat and saw they were both looking out of the window anxiously. As we were driving, I heard one of our favorite songs come on the radio. Avery heard it as I did and yelled, "Daddy, turn it up. Turn it up." It's the song with my name. I turned the radio up and peeked in the back to see both girls dancing in their seats. Sing daddy, sing. They were both yelling. So I sang, knowing that once the chorus hit, they would sing along with me, and we will all crack up laughing. I tried to be like Grace Kelly. But all her looks were too sad. So I tried a little Freddie, I've gone identity mad. I sang in my best imitation of Mika. Both girls were giggling uncontrollably in the back seat, and it made up for how foolish I felt in this moment. Once the chorus came on, they both joined me. And when Mika's voice hit that ridiculously high note, we were right along there with him. By the time the song was over, we were all laughing with tears in our eyes like we always do when we sing that song together. 5 minutes later we pulled up to the bookstore and Harper squealed in excitement when she read the name on the front of the building. "We are going to a bookstore, Daddy," Harper asked excitingly from the back seat. "Yeah, there is going to be games and people who will read stories to you guys." They were both very excited, so I took them both out and grabbed both of their hands while they dragged me to the door. They didn't have to drag me though, I would have and with them because I was anxious to see Bella again. It was almost like I missed her. See, what is wrong with my brain? Once we were inside, the girls gasped at all of the books they saw, and the group of kids that was gathered in the middle of the shop. I gasped when I saw Bella walking towards us. She was wearing skinny jeans, and a navy blue versus neck t-shirt that clung to her body oh so perfectly. "Hey Edward, it's good to see you again. It's a pleasure to be in your presence as well, my lady. So I'm going to take a wild guess here and say these two little girls, who look just like you, are your daughters." I just smiled and said yes they are. I looked down at my babies and tugged on both of their hands, trying to get their attention. They both looked up at me waiting. "Girls, why don't you say hello to Miss Bella? She was the nice person I met that helped me pick out Amelia Bedelia." Avery's eyes went wide and she looked at Bella. "You were the one who made Daddy get Aimwa Bedoya?" she asked in amazement. "Yup, that was me," Bella said, kind of nervously. Avery squealed and let go of my hand to run at Bella and wrap her arms around her waist. Bella awkwardly started petting her hair and looked a little nervous. Thank you, Beulah. That's my most favoritist book ever." Bella relaxed a little and smiled down at my daughter, already taken by her. "I mean, how couldn't you just love my babies? I'm glad you liked it. What is your name again, sweetheart?" Bella asked sweetly. "This woman will be the death of me. First she is ultra sweet to me, and now my daughter. I think I am. I need to find a way to maybe ask her out. Wait, I can't. Where would I bring her? For a walk? To the park? No, Bella deserved so much more than that. My name is Avery Grace Cullen," Avery said proudly. "That a beautiful name, Miss Avery Grace," she told Avery, who, in turn, rewarded her with a smile. Bella then looked at Harper, who was staring at Bella with curiosity at my side. "And what is your name?" she again asked sweetly. "Harper," she said quietly. I couldn't tell if she was mad, or just being shy. "And that is also a beautiful name. So your dad tells me you like reading?" "Yes. Well, Miss Angela is about to start reading to the children in about 5 minutes, so why don't you go join them, and then after you can tell me all of your favorite books and then I can tell you some that you might like." "Okay," she said with her head down. She then looked up at me and asked, "Can I go sit with the other kids now?" "Of course, baby, why don't you take your sister with you? I'll just be back here with Bella." "But if your sister won't sit still or be quiet, just let me know and I will take her so you can enjoy listening to the story." She nodded her head and walked over to Avery and took her hand and walked over to the big crowd of kids in the middle of the room. "Your daughters are really beautiful, Edward," Bella said. I looked at her and smiled. It made me feel pretty damn good that Bella thought my daughters were beautiful. For some reason it meant a lot to me what she thought about things. "Thank you, I think so too. So I take it Avery liked the book." I think, like, isn't a strong enough word. He made me read it to her 4 times before I had to tell her my eyes were hurting. She laughed lightly and looked up at me. "Well, I'm glad she liked it. Did you laugh?" I laughed along with her and said yes, Bella, I laughed. It was a funny book, the first 2 times at least. "Ah, so you are human after all. That's good to know. I was afraid you were going to seek me out and kill me or something if that freaking book didn't make you laugh." I laughed at her little story. She's funny. No Bella, I wouldn't kill you. Don't worry about me, I wouldn't hurt a fly. Well actually after thinking about that, I would hurt a fly. Those fuckers aggravate the shit out of me. Bella stared at me for a minute and then started cracking up laughing. Seeing her laugh, and knowing I was the one who made her laugh that way, made me feel so happy. Yeah, happy, that's the only way I can describe it. All I know is that I am going to try with all my might to make her laugh like that again. Once Bella recovered, she looked up at me again and smiled. You have very beautiful eyes, Edward, she said quietly. I looked at her in shock and watched as her face turned a beautiful pink. She looked down from my eyes and looked out towards the children. I could tell she was embarrassed, but she had to reason to be. Then against my better judgment, my hand lifted and reached for her chin. I gently touched her chin and guided her face towards me so I can look into her eyes. Thank you, Bella, but I think that your eyes are much more beautiful. She blushed again, darker this time, but she didn't look embarrassed anymore. She nodded her head slightly and continued looking into my eyes. It looked like she was about to say something, when there was a shrill scream going throughout the bookstore. And not just any scream, my baby's scream. I instantly let go of Bella's chin and blindly ran to where I knew my girls were sitting, but once I looked up at the crowd, I was in shock at what I saw. Avery was on the floor screaming while Harper was sitting on top of another girl and hitting her repeatedly. I was so shocked by this, I was just sitting there for a minute trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Never had Harper ever fought with someone like this. Another cry from Avery got me out of my daze and I ran towards where my babies were. I first ran to Harper and tried to pry her away from the other little girl she was hitting. Once I had a hold of her shoulders, she tried to shake me off and keep on hitting. Harper, stop this right now, I yelled, still trying to get her off of the little girl. Once she heard my voice, she finally stopped fighting and fell into me, sobbing. I scooped her up to my left shoulder, grabbed a crying Avery and put her on my other shoulder, my right shoulder that was burning like hell once she was on it, and tried to get out of there as soon as possible. On my way out I saw Bella looking at me in concern, and I just tried to give her a reassuring smile. I took the girls out of the store and went to the side of the building with them. I tried to make them get down and stand in front of me so I could talk to them, but they both had a death grip around my neck. Avery's struggles to stay in my arms were causing a burning pain in my shoulder, but I would have to deal with that later. I gave up trying to get them to get up and sat down on the ground with them still in my arms. Harper Elizabeth, I'm sorry you are upset right now, honey, but you need to look at me and tell me what you were thinking in there. That is completely unacceptable behavior and I am very disappointed in you, I said firmly. Harper picked up her head from my shoulder and looked at me with tears rolling down her face. I swear my heart was going to break in two seeing both of my girls crying at the same time. Even though I was a little pissed right about now. I'm sorry daddy, but she was being so mean, so mean, she said and then resolved to continue sobbing. Okay, so no. I know that she had a reason. It still didn't make it right, but it was only fair that I listened to her side before I go punishing her. What did she say, baby? I was just sitting down listening to the lady read the story. And Avery was sitting on my lap. And then the girl tapped me on the shoulder and said that my sister was you ugly. She stopped and took a couple of breaths before continuing. And then I told her that she shouldn't say mean things like that and then she said that me and Avery dress ugly and we should go home. Then I told her no and she said no one likes us. And no one will ever like people like us. So I hit her. What does she mean people like us, daddy? I looked away from my daughter's pained face for a second to try and get my emotions together. I could feel a lump building in my throat, but tried to get it to go away before I started talking to Harper again. This is exactly one of the things that I feared my daughters would have to go through. That they are going to be judged because of my shortcomings. They don't deserve to have to go through something like this. I was angry. I was angry that both of my daughters were crying in my arms because their feelings were hurt. I was angry at that stupid little girl inside that hurt my babies. But most of all I was angry with myself. This was all my fault. I looked back to Harper and tried to console her. Shish, baby, stop crying, okay? I'm not mad at you, my love, don't be upset anymore. She nodded and looked like she was trying her best to stop crying. Harper, I want you to listen to me, and listen good, okay? Don't ever listen to anyone who tells you you are not beautiful. You and your sister are two of the most beautiful people in this whole world. And don't listen when she tells you no one will like you. Because that's not true. There are many people in this world that are going to be mean, and not everyone will like you, baby. I'm not going to lie to you, but always know that all that matters is there are still people who love you like crazy, okay? Rose loves you, Uncle Al loves you, Avery loves you, and I love you. I love you so much, Angel. So don't listen to what other mean people say, okay? Okay, Daddy. I'm sorry I was a bad girl. It's okay, honey. I want you to never, ever do something like that again, no matter what anyone says to you, okay? If you ever do something like that again, I'm going to have to punish you, alright? Okay, I promise I'll never do it again, she said and laid her head back on my shoulder. I looked over to my other shoulder, where Avery's head was laying, and saw that she was done crying and looked like she was tired. I kissed both of their foreheads and then stood up. Girls, we can either go back inside and continue with our day, or we can go home. But either way we need to go inside and apologize to Bella. I want to stay, Daddy. I was having so much fun. Can you just sit with me this time? Harper asked. Of course, baby. I gently placed both each of them back on their feet and grabbed each of their hands. I sighed in relief when the pain in my shoulder subsided a little. We walked inside and saw that Miss Angela, or whatever, was still reading to the little group. And it was as if nothing happened. Bella was in the corner, and when she saw us walk in the door she immediately made her way towards us. Once she approached us she looked at me with her beautiful brown eyes and said, "Is everything okay, Edward?" "Yes, everything is fine. I think Harper has something she wants to tell you." I looked down at Harper expectantly. "I'm really sore. Why that I was bad and messed up the whole storytelling time," Harper said quietly, sounding like she was going to cry again. I took my hand from hers and pulled her to my side and rubbed her back, trying to comfort her. "That's okay, honey. That little girl said why you were so mad at her, and I'm sorry. I hope you will still stay though, because I really want you to like it here and have fun." "Thank you, Bella. I would really like to stay." "Great. Let's go then. I saved you guys a seat." We made our way back to the crowd and sat down. I sat down Indian style, with Avery in my lap and Harper close to my right side. Bella was about to walk away when Avery called her name. Bella looked back immediately and waited. "Miss Bua, can you sit with us please?" Avery asked. Bella's face softened a little bit and she sat down to my left. Avery reached out her hand and grabbed one of Bella's. Bella looked touched by the sentiment, and then looked up at me and smiled. I smiled back because there was some thing about this girl that made me want to smile all the time. And sitting here, with my beautiful girls with me, and this beautiful angel that all of a sudden was in my life, I felt fully and completely happy. I felt whole. And it scared the living hell out of me. I just hope this can last. Because I seems everything in my life never turns out the way I want it to. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun. And I say it's all right. Here Comes the Sun, by the Beatles. Bella Pa. Who knew list? Ending to someone read Green Eggs and Ham would be so enjoyable. I don't know about everyone else, but I was having a damn good time. I wasn't feeling this happy before though. When I saw Edward walk in with his daughters, my breath once again left my lungs. And it wasn't just because of Edward this time, though he was part of it. His little girls were just as beautiful as him, if not even more beautiful. Which I would have said was impossible about 4 days ago. There was no doubt that they were both his daughters. They looked like exact duplicates of him. Only much smaller and girlier. Is girlier a word? Anyways, when little Avery came running to me and hugged me, I was instantly wrapped around her little finger. She was just too cute for words. Harper didn't seem to be as enthusiastic to see me as Avery was though. She stayed close to her father and kept her grip on his hand. It seems like she was protecting him almost. But I'm not really sure, because I haven't really spent much time with kids. Edward was amazing. I was just about to tell Edward just that when the catastrophe happened. Seeing Edward's face when he was walking out of the store was something I hoped I never have to see again. He looked like he was in actual physical pain. I felt so helpless. Usually if someone was in physical pain, you could go to them, and try somehow to treat the wound, and make it better for them. But this pain Edward was in was not something that can be fixed like that. I wish it could though, because I felt my own chest constrict, just seeing him like that. They were outside for a little while. And I began to worry that they had left. I really didn't want them to leave. I wanted to see Edward's face again. I wanted to see if he was okay. Finally, after about 15 minutes, they walked back in. I could tell that Harper and Avery were both crying, and Edward looked like he came close. I had to somehow find a way to fix this. It didn't take much though. Once the girls were settled, and we sat down for the rest of the stories, Edward seemed to relax a little. I could still tell he was a little upset about the whole situation, but he was better, and I, in turn, felt better. Blank. We spent the rest of the afternoon listening to stories, playing games together, and just having a good time together. I was having the time of my life. These little girls were both so smart and amazing. Just like their father. One of my favorite parts of the day was just watching Edward with them. He looked at them and treated them like they were gods, and they treated him the same way. It was so obvious how much they loved one another. I'm sure there are many families out there that are close and loving like this, but this is the first time I have ever been a witness to it. And I was amazed. Currently, we were sitting at one of the tables of the bookstore coloring. I was coloring a flower, Harper was coloring a landscape, Avery was coloring a butterfly. And poor Edward got stuck coloring a princess tiara. He didn't seem to mind though, since Avery picked it out for him. All of a sudden, Avery threw her crayon down and gasped. All of us looked up at her to see what was wrong with her. "Oh my goodness, Daddy. I just remembered something." Edward smiled at her and said, "Really, baby? What did you remember?" "I remember you said we could go get some ICWEAM today," she said excitedly, bouncing in her seat. I don't remember saying that, you must have been dreaming." "I was not dreaming, Daddy. You said if I would get up out of bed, you would get us ICWEAM." "Stop kidding, Daddy." "I'm not kidding, it's not my fault you don't remember it was a dream." He shrugged, obviously teasing her. I don't know what to do with you sometimes, Daddy, you dwive me crazy." We all started laughing and Edward reached over and took her in his arms and started tickling her. "I was just kidding, baby, of course we can still go out for ice cream," he told her, and her face lit up and she let out an excited scream. "Thank you, Daddy," she said while throwing her arms around his neck. Edward hugged her back and then whispered something to her in her ear. After he was finished, her head shot up and she looked at me with a big smile on her face. "Beulah, can you come with us to get ICWEAM? Daddy said he will buy you some." How could I say no to a face like that? "Of course, Avery, I'd be honored." She squealed in happiness again and then we were off to get ice cream. I let my employees know I was leaving and left my spare key with Angela, just in case I wasn't back before closing. I followed Edward and the girls to his car since I had no idea what it was. We approached a small silver car that looked like it was pretty old. I looked up at Edward and saw he looked embarrassed again. I wish I could tell him to stop being embarrassed. I didn't care what kind of car he drove, but I didn't want to embarrass him some more, so I kept my mouth shut. Maybe one day he will realize. Blank. We went out for ice cream and had a blast. I felt bad that Edward was going to pay for me, but when I was about to protest, he gave me a look that meant he didn't want to hear it. After having ice cream, it was about 4 in the afternoon, and Edward suggested going to the park, and we all agreed. We drove down to Boston Common and went to the playground that was there. There wasn't that many kids around, which was odd for this park, it's usually ridiculously packed. The girls ran off on their own and me and Edward sat at one of the nearby benches. We sat in silence for a couple of minutes, just watching the girls when he all of a sudden said something. "Thank you, Bella," he said sincerely. I looked at his beautiful face and smiled. "What are you thanking me for?" "Well, the girls were having a rough day, and you made it better for them. So just, thank you." I reached out and put my hand on his shoulder. "It was no problem, Edward, really they are both great kids. You're doing a great job with them." A brilliant smile broke out on his face, and he grabbed my hand that was on his shoulder and held onto it. It felt perfect. We sat like that a while. When Edward again broke the silence. Bella, can I ask you something? He asked nervously. Of course Edward, what is it? He held on a little tighter to my hand and took a deep breath, then. He looked in my eyes and said, well, I have had a lot of fun today, and, well, I really like you, so would it be weird for me to ask you out on a date? I stared at him in shock for a minute. Someone as amazing as Edward would really like to go on a date with me. I think my moment of silence meant something totally different to Edward though, because he then continued to babble on cutely. I mean, old completely understand if you don't want to. I mean, I don't really have much extra money right now, but I would find something for us to do. But don't feel obligated to say yes, it won't hurt my feelings. But I figured it would be good to spend some adult time together. Shit, that sounded bad, didn't it? I didn't mean it like that, I swear. He only stopped talking because I covered his mouth with my hand. I almost didn't though, because he was extra cute when he was flustered. Edward, I would love to go on a date with you. A sigh of relief flew from his lips and he smiled. Great, so are you free next Saturday? Saturday sounds great. What time? Well, I'm not actually sure yet. I need to find out with the babysitter, but if you give me your number, maybe I could call you. That sounds perfect. I gave him my number. And he thanked me. I was about to try and talk to him and learn more about this magnificent person when we were interrupted by Harper. Daddy, Avery fell asleep under the slide again, she said with annoyance. Edward chuckled and I laughed along with him. Who falls asleep under a slide? She always does this. She didn't get to take her nap today, so she must really be exhausted. He got up and went to go get her, leaving me alone with Harper. So Harper, where do you go to school? I said, trying to start some kind of conversation. Do you like my daddy? She asked bluntly. Well, yes honey, I think your daddy is a very nice person. Well duh, he is a good person, everybody knows that, but do you like him like a girlfriend likes her boyfriend? Whoa, this kid doesn't believe in beating around the bush. I'm not really sure, I haven't known him long enough to know that yet. Would you be mad if I did? I don't know yet, she said and then looked away from me, looking like she was deep in thought. Yeah, she must have been protecting Edward early on today, because it was what she is trying to do right now. We sat in silence for about a minute when Edward came back to us with a sleeping Avery on his left shoulder. Well, I'm sorry we are going to have to cut this trip short, but I really need to get home and get her to bed, but I will still drop you off to where you need to go. No, that's fine Edward. I am just going to walk over to my friend Alice's house, it's literally right across the street. Are you sure? I feel kind of bad that I'm taking off and leaving you without a car or anything. I'm positive. I was going to Alice's house later anyway, and she will have no problem bringing me home later. Okay, only if you are sure, he said, still looking wary. We made our way to his car and he buckled up both of the girls in the car, and I waited by the side of the car so I could say goodbye. He opened the driver's side door and I thought he was just going to leave, He just turned the car on and turned the AC on for the girls. He got back out of the car and faced me looking nervous. I had a good time today, Edward. Me too, Bella. I promise to call you with details on that date, that is if you are still interested. He said looking nervous again. Why is this guy so nervous all the time? To ease his nerves I rose to my tiptoes, then threw my arms around his neck, and hugged him tightly. I am most definitely still interested. I could feel him relax against me and he brought his arms around my middle and hugged me back. This felt so absolutely perfect, and it scared the shit out of me. There is so much that he doesn't know about me, what if he leaves when he finds out? Almost to prove my point, I opened my eyes and looked over Edward's shoulder and saw a small crowd of paparazzi snapping pictures of us. Realization took over me and I instantly pulled away from Edward. It was so easy to forget about that bad things when I was with Edward. Could I really do this to him? To his girls? Make them be a part of my fucked up life? I looked up at his face and saw the look of admiration he was giving me and decided I would have to just tell him everything on our date and make him make a decision, because I am a selfish bitch and I want to have him with me not matter what. See ya, Bella. I'll call you soon. See ya, Edward. He smiled and got back in his car and drove off. I stood on the sidewalk for a couple of seconds because my head was all jumbled up with thoughts. Once I had a clear head, I walked across the street to Alice's apartment. Once I go to her door, I knocked 3 times and then she answered. Bella. Geez, you're really early, did you miss me that much? I need to talk to you, Alice. I said sadly. Alice's happy expression turned to on of worry and she led me into her house to the couch in her living room. I sat down and she sat next to me and took one of my hands. What's the matter, Bella? Is your dad being a douche again? No, but I'm sure he will be soon once he finds out. What happened, Bella? You are starting to scare me. I met a guy. She looked at me in confusion for a few seconds and then said, okay, and why is that so bad, Bella? That's amazing. That's just the thing, Alice, it should be amazing, I should be over the moon happy right now, but I'm not. Well, I am, but I don't know, it's not that simple, you know. I don't really get what you mean, Bella. I met a guy, Alice, his name is Edward, and he is perfect. He's caring, smart, funny, and ridiculously handsome. But I don't know if I want to do this to him. Do what to him exactly, Bella? Make him suffer through the hell I call my life. He has 2 daughters, Alice, and they are both so amazing, just like him. How can I be so selfish and make them have to go through what I have too? They all deserve so much better than that. Tears were flowing from my eyes at this point, and I had to stop to put my head in my hands and catch my breath. I felt Alice pull me in her arms and she held me. Shish, Bella, have you talked to him about this? And no, he doesn't even know. Are you guys going to see each other again? Yeah, we have a date for next Saturday. Well, all I see and think of to tell you is to talk to him about it during your date, and let him make the decision. If he says no, then that would really suck, but I will help you, Bella, in any way I can. But if he says yes, that he wants to try and be with you, please don't try and talk him out of it, Bella, because I know you, and I know you will try and push him away. But you shouldn't, because you deserve to be happy too. I'm just really scared, Alice. I just like him so much and I've never felt like this before, and I'm afraid that just by being with him, I will destroy him. I just wish all of the bad stuff about my life will go away and he can have the good parts of me only. He can have all of them. We were silent after that. There wasn't much to say, she knew I was right. She knew this could pose a problem for me and Edward. If he chooses to not bother with me anymore, I will be heartbroken. But if he does, I can't say I could blame him. I know his girls always come first, and how could I fault him for that? I guess I will just have to wait for Saturday. I only want you to see my favorite part of me. And not my ugly side. Not my ugly side. Ugly Side, by Blue October. Edward Pav. It's his birthday today, June 12, 1977. This is the only day I allow myself to think of him, even if it's only one day. Any more than that is too much. If I think about him too much at one time, I begin to go insane. It seems dangerous things happen to me when I think. Today would have been his 33rd birthday. He would have probably had kids by now. With a beautiful wife. Most likely a dog, because he always loved dogs. He could have had everything if it wasn't for me. I took that all away from him, when he gave me everything. My big brother. Okay, I've had enough for now, I need something to make it better. My girls. I got up off of the couch and checked the time on my phone, 5:12 a.m. Maybe I shouldn't go in there, it's too early, I don't want to wake them. I sit back down and turn on the TV for the first time in weeks. The channel that is on when I turn it on is the news channel. Sure, the news will get my mind off of things. Now we take you down to Brockton, where there was a horrid car crash. One man was killed when he was run off the road by a group of teenagers who were road racing. Sources say, yup, that's too much for me. I can already feel my hands shaking and the lump building in my throat. I turned the TV off immediately and practically ran to my girl's room. Once I enter, I feel like a weight has been lifted off of my shoulders, but it doesn't distinguish the pain all the way, I need to hold them. I decide on taking Avery from her bed and bringing her to Harper's bed with me, because the kid would sleep through anything. Once I had her securely in my arms, I slid in right next to Harper, and laid Avery on my right side. Harper was on my left, lying on her side, facing away from me. Once I settled in, Harper began to stir. She flipped over and looked up at me with sleepy eyes. "What's the matter, Daddy?" she asked in concern. Nothing, baby, I'm okay. You can go back to sleep, I won't bother you. You look sad, Daddy. Did Bella say she doesn't want to go on a date with you anymore? Ah, yes, my date with Bella. As soon as I got home last Saturday, I called Rose and asked her to babysit for me. She agreed is going to be here at 5:30 this evening. I called Bella after the girls went to bed. She said that was great. And actually sounded excited. I know I am. I may, or may not have done an extremely dorky victory dance after that little phone call. I chuckled quietly. No, me and Bella are still going on our date later on. She turned herself more and climbed up, and rested her arms on my chest and put her face closer to mine, like she was trying to get a better look at my expression. I can tell you are sad. Is it because of Uncle Jack? I sighed in defeat. There was no keeping anything from this smart girl. It pained me a little to see how much she is growing up. Yes, honey, it's about Uncle Jack. It would have been his birthday today, and it just makes me sad because I miss him, and I wish you and your sister would have got to know him better. I remember Uncle Jack a little bit. He always used to tell me to ask you to get a puppy. But I don't like puppies anymore after that dog, Muffin, bit me. She crinkled her face in disgust, and I just had to laugh. I know it was because he used to love dogs. Did you know when we were growing up, we had about 5 dogs? Ew, dogs are yucky. Yeah, but there was a separate part of the house where they stayed, and your uncle was always with them. He was weird. I laughed again, a little too loudly too, because Avery jumped a little and then made a frustrated grunt. She went right back to sleep after it, snoring loudly. Harper. And I laughed quietly at her, and then Harper got off of me and lay back down and curled into my side, then yawned loudly. Go back to sleep, my love, I feel better now that I'm with you guys. K, Daddy, love you. I love you too, baby. I kissed her forehead and closed my eyes, hoping sleep would overtake me. It eventually did. Blank. Alright, this sucks. I have no idea what I am going to wear tonight. I feel like such a chick. I don't mind wearing jeans and a t-shirt every day, but I want to clean up a little. Bella deserves to have a guy that at least dresses like he cares. The only semi-nice looking shirt I have is a white button-up, so I guess that will have to do, even though I hate button-ups. Oh well, I'll make it work. I took it out of the closet and went to the bathroom to change. I put my black jeans on, and then the shirt. At first I buttoned it all the way, and tucked it in, but then I felt stuffed. So I unbuttoned the 2 top buttons and untucked the shirt. I went to button up the cuffs but, then realized I may have grown a little since the last time I wore this, so I just rolled up the sleeves. It will have to do. I walked out to the living room and saw Harper and Avery dancing around the living room while watching Cats. I brought home as many movies as I could for the girls, but for some reason they are addicted to Cats and Finding Nemo the most. I personally thought Cats was fucking creepy. I think it has something to do with grown men and women frolicking around a stage acting like cats. The girls love it though, and watching Avery try and sing Memory every single time she watched it made up for the horribleness of the whole thing. All right girls, come give me a kiss, I needed to leave about 10 minutes ago. Harper pressed pause on the remote. Then they both ran toward me. I squatted down, and they threw their arms around my neck. I hugged them both tightly and kissed each of their heads. I'll be back at bedtime so I can tuck you guys in, okay? Okay, Daddy, Harper said. She kissed my cheek, and then went back to the movie. Avery said nothing though, and didn't loosen her grip. Avery, honey, I have to go now. I no want you to go, Daddy. She mumbled into my neck, breaking my heart a little. This is most definitely not the first time I have had to be away from Avery, but it was also the first time she has had to see my walk out of the door. Every other time she was sleeping. I go to work at 6 and Rosalie gets the girls up each morning and brings them to school around 8. I'm sorry, baby, but I have to go. I promised Bella I would take her somewhere today. She took her head off of my shoulder and looked at me with unshed tears in her eyes. Can I go with you guys? No, you can't, baby. I won't be gone long, okay? I'll be home to tuck you in, I promise. You promise? Yes. I pinky swear. I held out my pinky to her, and she linked hers with mine, and the promise was made. She kissed my cheek and joined Harper in the living room. I went to the kitchen, where Rose was, making macaroni and cheese, and told her I was leaving. I yelled to the girls I loved them and then was on my way to get Bella. Blank, underscore, blank. I picked up Bella at her house, and almost had a heart attack when I saw how huge it was. How rich was Bella? Her house was so big, I'm sure you could fit 10 of my houses in there easily. Once she walked out, I decided to just let it go for now and save that conversation for later. She looked stunning. I honestly don't know what I did to get to go on a date with someone like her. Currently we were in my car, on our way to our first destination, talking about music. So what types of music do you like to listen to? I asked. Oh, I listen to all kinds really. The only music I don't care for too much is bluegrass. Wait, so you're telling me you don't think banjos are sexy? She snorted. I guess you could say that. Well, there goes the second half of our date. I joked. She chuckled. Where are we going for the first half? Yeah right, like I'd tell you. I scoffed. I hate surprises. I'm sorry to hear that because I love giving surprises. Fine, I'll shut up for now. But don't expect me to always be so accepting of surprises, she said in her beautiful voice. I wish I could look at her right now, but with me driving and everything, it was hard to get a good look. We would be there in about 5 minutes anyway. We were only going to this small meadow that Jack used to take me to when we would practice catching for baseball, and have a picnic. I am extremely nervous for it though. Because Bella deserves to be taken to the fanciest restaurant in Boston. I tried to make that happen, but the electric bill was due yesterday, and Al wouldn't give me advancement on my next check. So this will have to do. It seemed like a good test though. If she didn't mind where we went, no matter how inexpensive it was, then this might actually work. This is why I was hoping she wouldn't run for the hills when she saw where we were going, because I know girls usually like all that fancy romantic shit. I pulled up to the edge of the meadow and shut the car off. My hands were shaking slightly and I didn't want to look up to her face to see her reaction. So I got out of the car and took the small cooler out of the backseat. I made my way to the passenger side of the car to open the door for Bella. But she is already waiting for me outside of the door. I walked up to her and finally grew the balls to look at her. My eyes met hers and all of my worries went away instantly. I could tell by her eyes that she wasn't disgusted by this at all, she actually looked excited. There was a hint of confusion along with that excitement, but it was probably her wondering why I was acting like a spaz. It's just through the trees this way, it won't take long. I told her. She nodded her head with a slight smile and walked beside me, and then we began walking. I wanted to hold her hand. But it was currently sweating right now, so I didn't want to gross her out. We finally made it into the clearing and I heard her gasp beside me. Oh my God, Edward. This is beautiful. Do you think so? I mean, I know it's not much, but I would have continued if my breath wasn't knocked out me by her throwing herself at me. I let the cooler slide down my arm to the floor and circled my arms around her waist while she had a death grip around my neck. Hugging Bella always made the feelings I had for her intensify a million times. I don't really know how to explain it, but it just felt right, having her close to me. My heart beats faster, my arms tingle, and my whole body just relaxes, like there is nothing I have to worry about ever again. It's perfect, Edward. No one has ever done anything so thoughtful for me before in my life. Thank you. You're welcome, Bella, though we haven't even really done anything yet. Well then let's go. I have always wanted to have a picnic. Blank, underscore, blank. Favorite color? Blue. Favorite season? Winter. Favorite movie? Forrest Gump. Favorite food? Grilled cheese. My next question was cut off by her loud laugh. We were currently playing an intense game of 20 questions. I'm pretty sure we made it way past the 20 question mark, but who the hell cares? We had about a 10 question streak going when she just messed it up. What's wrong with grilled cheese? She was laughing uncontrollably at me. Your favorite food is grilled cheese. Yes, it is. Is there a problem with that? Well, no, I'm sorry, but that is just such a dad answer. Maybe it is, but that doesn't change anything. I make a mean grilled cheese, and my girls would agree. I mean, I don't usually beat my own horn, Bella, but wait for it. I paused for a second for dramatic effect. Beep, beep. She started laughing hysterically again and I felt pretty damn good knowing I was the one who was making her laugh. Even if she was laughing at me and probably thought I was a massive geek. She must not mind too much that I'm weird though, because she scooted closer to me and grabbed both of my hands. We were now sitting cross-legged facing each other with our hands clasped. Okay, I'm sorry, continue on. Favorite memory? I'll have to think about that for a second. She paused for about 5 seconds when she began again. I think it would have to be when I was about 12 years old. My grandfather would always take me out to these places, to expand my horizons. I used to hate going though, because he would bring me to these boring places, but when I was 12, he brung me to New Hampshire to see the mountains. A small smile was on her face as she threw back to the memory. I don't know, I was just amazed, you know. I had never really seen them before, and it was just something new for me. And it's stuck with me ever since. Wow, that must have been awesome. I've never seen the mountains. Well, you should definitely try and see them sometime. Alright, do you have a hidden talent? As a matter of fact, I do. Well, what is it? I can do really good impersonations. Really? Wow, that's cool. Care to demonstrate? I don't know. Oh come on Edward, you can't just tell me you have a hidden talent and then not demonstrate it for me. She said, looking at me with pleading eyes. How could I say no to such a beautiful face? I want to kiss her so bad. Alright fine. I ousted for a second and cleared my throat a couple of times. Like, Scoob, I can't believe Bella is making me do this right now. I said in my best Shaggy impersonation. She stared at me for a couple of seconds and then laughed a little. Wow, Edward, that was creepy how much you sounded like him. But that's so cool. I'm gifted, what can I say? You're gifted alright. She chuckled a little more. I took my phone out to check the time and almost pissed myself when I saw the time. Shit, Bella. I practically screamed. She jumped a little bit and asked me what was wrong. It's already 7:45, I was supposed to bring you to the art museum about an hour ago, and I need to get back home to tuck the girls into bed soon. Hey, it's okay, we don't have to go to the art museum. I know, I guess I just don't really want this date to end. I said quietly. Bella let go of my hands and then rose to her knees in front of me. She put her hands on either side of my face, and lifted my head so I can look at her. We both stared at each other for a couple of seconds and then she brought my face closer to hers to kiss my forehead. She put her forehead against mine and whispered, I don't want this date to end either, Edward. Well, I need to go home and tuck the girls in, because I promised, but what do you say to coming over my place for a little while? Oh shit, that sounded bad. I mean we can watch a movie or something. I didn't mean it that way. She put her hand over my mouth again and smiled at me. I know what you meant, Edward. And I would love to, but I don't think it would be such a good idea to sleep and you won't be able to drive me home later because of the girls, so why don't you just bring me home for now? I can change into more comfortable clothes, and I'll drive to your house. You are very smart, Bella. She chuckled a little. I know, I'm a genius. Blank. When I got home, it was a little later than 8:30 and both girls were exhausted. I paid Rosalie and let her go. I went into the girls' room and laid down with them to listen to their stories like I usually do. Avery was the first one to fall asleep, and Harper was getting close. Did you have a fun time with Bella? She asked sleepily from her spot on my side. Yeah, I did, we had a lot of fun. I can tell you did, you don't look sad anymore. It scared me sometimes when I realize how much she picks up on. I always feel better when I am with my babies, and Bella made me feel better too. Okay, well, I'd love to talk more to you, Daddy, but I am way too tired. So good night, Daddy, I love you, she yawned. I chuckled and kissed her hair. I love you, too. Once the girls were both settled in, I went out to change and go wait for Bella in the living room. Harper was right, I hadn't really thought much of Jack when I was with Bella. And it made me feel really good to know that. But sitting down here, without Bella, without Harper, without Avery, I begin to think again. Dangerous things happen when I think. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am home again. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am whole again. Love Song, by The Cure. Bella Pov. Is it really possible for someone to be this happy? I don't even know what to say about the first half of me and Edward's date today. The only word that comes to mind is wow. Just wow. I never knew I could feel so good by Just having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Capri Suns with someone. But Edward wasn't just someone. He was everything. He was caring, sweet, smart, witty, funny, unselfish, adorable, handsome, gorgeous, sexy, hot, need I go on? It seemed when we were together, the whole world disappears. It seems like there are no paparazzi that harass me all the time, there is no dad that is always pressuring me to do things. There are no expectations, there's just nothing. There is nothing but me and him, in that moment. But now, sitting in my car on my way to his house, I thought of my fault for the evening. I haven't told Edward yet. I need to tell him as soon as I get to his house. Or maybe later on, in case he says he doesn't want to see me anymore. Yeah, later sounds good, I just need to be with him just a little longer. I pull up to Edward's apartment, he gave me his address when he dropped me off. It was an apartment building that looked like it has seen better days. My father would kill me if he found out I came here tonight. The thought caused a lump in my throat because it made me realize that this high I was on probably won't last once Edward found out. I composed myself quickly and got out of the car. Eager to see him, I went up the 3 flights of stairs to get to his apartment and knocked quietly a couple of times. Seconds later, the door was opened and I was pulled into the apartment by strong arms. Edward had his arms around my middle and he sighed loudly into my neck. He kicked the door shut lightly and held me a little bit tighter. He was scaring me a little bit because he didn't say anything and I could feel his quick, erratic breaths on my skin. My hands went to his soft, beautiful hair and I began stroking it, hoping to comfort him, even though I didn't know what he needed comfort for. Edward, what's the matter, are you okay? I asked, panicking slightly. Why was this affecting me so much, seeing him like this? He lifted his face from my neck and looked me in the eyes. He looked horrible. Not his actual face because that is always nothing short of beautiful, but his eyes were so sad. I'm okay now, Bella. I'm sorry if I freaked you out, it's Jew. Saint today is just never a good day for me when I'm alone. I pushed his hair out of his eyes. Why don't we go sit down and you can talk to me about it if you want? He nodded his head slightly and led me to the living room. That wasn't far from the front door. I sat down and he sat next to me with his elbows on his knees and his face in his hands. I brought my hand out to rub his back and waited for him to start. He tilted his face towards mine and started, his voice cracked a little so he cleared it before continuing again. It would have been my brother's birthday today, if he were still alive. I scooted closer to him and circled my arm around his waist and rested my head on his shoulder. I'm sorry, Edward. Would it make you feel better if you talked about him a little bit? I'll listen, I promise. He nodded slightly and began telling me about his brother. My brother's name was Jackson Edward Cullen, and he was 8 years older than me. He started, you would probably think, had with such an age difference between us that we wouldn't really get along that much, but we were as close as they come for as long as I remember. He taught me how to do everything, you know. He taught me how to throw a baseball. He taught me how to play Pac-Man, he taught me how to do long division. He just taught me everything. He was always my friend. He was my best friend. He stopped for a minute and put his hand through his hair. Sighing shakily. It's okay if you don't want to talk about him anymore, Edward. No, I want to at least try. I haven't talked about this to anyone in my life, Bella. But I feel I can try and tell you because I honestly believe that you care. And I can't tell you enough how much that means to me. People always say letting it out, and getting it out of your head will help with healing. I've wanted to do that for so long but I have never had anyone to tell. Well, you have me now, Edward. Just try it, if it doesn't work, then that's okay, there is no pressure. He nodded his head again and grabbed the hand that wasn't currently rubbing circles on his back. I gave his hand an encouraging squeeze and he started once again. One of the things I loved most about my brother was his protective nature. He would go crazy on anyone that looked at someone he loved the wrong way. When I told my parents about me getting a girl pregnant when I was 17, they were absolutely furious with me. My mom was crying uncontrollably and my dad went at me and started hitting and punching me. My dad wasn't overly abusive toward me growing up, a couple of slaps here and there, but never this much. Jack walked in the house after about 2 of my dad's punches and got my dad to get off of me. They started yelling at each other, and I don't even remember it very well, but all I know is that Jack took me out of that house and brought me to his. He, to this day, was the only other person, besides me, who didn't look at Harper being born as a mistake. He let me live in his house. For a couple of months until my parents came crying back to me, asking me to live with them again. Jack was there when Harper was born, he was there when she said her first word, he was there to help me, every day, no matter what. He was there for me always, and I always appreciated it so much. He stopped again and put his head back in his hands, pulling at his hair. I could feel the tears building in my eyes, but I tried to stay strong for Edward. He sounded like a really great guy. He was, Bella, he was. He was the greatest guy the first have ever known. He was 100% better than me. And I destroyed that. I destroy everything I touch. Everyone I know. That's not true, Edward. Look at your girls, they are both such great little girls, and they are like that because of you. You made them into the beautiful little people that they are. He finally picked his head and looked at me, and I saw the tears on his face. I felt like someone just punched me in the gut multiple times looking at him like that. It scared the shit out of me. I've only just met him less than 2 weeks ago, and he is already affecting me this way. I know that, Bella. But they are young, what's going to happen when they get older and learn more about me? And all of the stupid horrible mistakes I have made in my life. I don't really understand what you are saying, Edward. But I can tell you this, nothing will make those little girls love you any less than they do right now. Do you understand how much they love you? Of course I know they love me, and I love them more than the air I breathe, but I also loved my brother, and look what happened to him. Do you want to tell me what happened to him? His head automatically started shaking vehemently. No. I can't, Bella. Just not now, okay? My head is already fucked up enough right now. I don't want to mess it up even more by talking about one of the worst and best nights of my life. Well, that didn't make any sense to me at all. How could it be the best and the worst at the same time? I won't pressure him on it though. Alright, that's fine. He abruptly got up off of the couch and rubbed his eyes. Okay, I'm sorry, Bella, I feel like a total douche now that I've why much ruined the second half of our perfect date. What do you say to some popcorn and a movie? I smiled slightly at him and told him that sounded good. He walked to the kitchen and left me in his living room. It was really small, but very homey. There were pictures hanging on the walls of the girls in different stages of their life. I got up to look at them all and smiled at how cute they were, even as babies. I sat back down on the couch to wait for him, and noticed a single framed picture on the coffee table. I smiled at the picture because it had to have been the cutest picture I have ever seen in my life. Edward was in the middle of Harper and Avery, and each of them were giving him a kiss on his cheeks. Edward had the biggest, most beautiful smile on his face, and it was just perfect. I heard Edward walk back in behind me, and I looked at him. He was holding a bowl of popcorn with 2 cups. All I have is milk and water for right now, I hope you don't mind. No, that's perfect. We both settled in and watched some random sitcom on TV instead of a movie, because it was late and we didn't think we would make it through a whole movie. Edward was sitting on the right end of the couch and I was curled up at his side, eating the popcorn that was on his lap. Oh, Edward, I forgot. I have a secret talent too. Do you want me to show you? Sure, what is it? I am the master at catching popcorn in my mouth. But I will need your assistance. Whatever you need, my lady. He said in a British accent. I chuckled at his cuteness and kissed him on the cheek as I got up on my knees on the couch. He began throwing pieces of popcorn at me and I must have lost my talent somehow because I didn't catch any after he threw about 15. He was laughing hysterically at me, and I have never felt so glad to be making a fool out of myself than I did in this moment. Edward should be laughing and happy all the time. I must have been trying way too hard to try and catch a piece of that fucking popcorn though, because before I knew it, I was falling off the side of the couch when I reached too far for a piece. I was waiting for my head to collide with the coffee table, but was pleasantly surprised when I got a pair of warm arms around me instead. Edward pulled me back up onto the couch and I fell into his chest. I looked down and saw that the whole bowl of popcorn was now all over the floor from Edward jumping to catch me. Edward was laughing so hard I thought he was going to piss himself, and I had to laugh too, because if I didn't laugh, I would be crying in embarrassment. After my laughing died down a little bit, I looked up at Edward, and saw he was looking down at me with a look of admiration. The hand that wasn't holding me to him, lifted and he pushed my hair out of my face. He transitio. Ned from looking into my eyes to then looking at my lips. I think I had an idea of what he wanted but I wasn't sure. Fuck it. I just want to kiss him. I brought my face closer to his and crashed my lips to his. And kissed him with as much passion as I could muster. He reciprocated the action and it just felt perfect, having his lips move in sync with mine. He tasted amazing too. I can honestly say, I could just sit here and kiss Edward all day long, and never get tired of it. We kissed for maybe a minute before it started to slow down. He gave a couple of slow pecks before we stopped completely and finally opened our eyes. Wow, he said. I don't think, wow, really covers that. He chuckled quietly and then put his hand to the back of my head and guided it to lie on his chest. I felt his lips kiss my hair and he began rubbing circles on my back. This is heaven. We stayed like that for a little while until I remembered that I had work tomorrow. There was a book signing early in the morning. I reached over and grabbed my phone from the coffee table and saw that it was almost midnight. I groaned in frustration and looked back up at Edward. You have to leave, don't you? He asked, looking a little disappointed. Yeah, I have to work tomorrow. He nodded his head and let go of me. I got up off of him and laughed when I seen the floor. There was popcorn everywhere. Wait, I have to help you pick this up first. Don't worry about it, Bella. I'll get it. I don't want you to be exhausted tomorrow. No really, Edward, it's no big deal. What are a couple more minutes? He didn't really have anything to say about that and I started to clean up and he helped me. It really only took us a couple of minutes and before I knew it we were both by the door. I had a really good time tonight, Edward. Yeah, me too, Bella. I'm sorry I ruined it a little bit with all my whining and stuff but thank you for listening, it really did help. I brought my hands to either side of his face and stared straight in his eyes. Don't ever apologize for that, Edward. I was glad I was here to help you, and I hope I am able to help you again sometime, whenever you need it. He brought his arms out to my waist and pulled me closer to him for a kiss. This kiss was just as spectacular as the first one. I knew I had to cut this kiss short though because I really needed to go home. I pulled my face away from his and rested my head on his shoulder. Goodbye, Edward. He squeezed me a little tighter, kissed my head and then let me go. Bye, Bella. Do you think it would be okay if I call you? And maybe you could come over for dinner sometime this week. I know the girls would like to see you again. I would like to see you again. He is so cute when he is nervous. I got up to my tiptoes and gave him a peck on the lips. Of course you can call me. And I would love nothing more than to see you and the girls again. He nodded his head and smiled at me. I don't want to leave. I smiled back at him and reluctantly walked out of his door. I got in my car and made my way home. Once I was there I felt different than when I was in it earlier today. It felt colder. There is too much space everywhere. There are no pictures on the wall. There's no Edward. I made my way upstairs to go to bed. As I was lying in my bed I began to reflect on the wonderful date we had today. The first part and the last part were absolutely perfect. I can't think of anything that could have been more perfect. But now that I think back to when Edward was telling me about his brother, a million questions came to my head. How did his brother die? Why did Edward think it was his fault? Where are his parents now? Why was the night his brother died the worst and best day of his life? That just doesn't make any sense. I decided to not dwell on all of the questions I had and think about all of the unknowns. Instead I decided to think about what I do know. I know Edward is an amazing person. I know his little girls are also amazing and love him. I know for a fact there is no way Edward could ever destroy them. I know there is more to Edward that I will still have to discover on my own. And I know no matter what, I will try and be there for him for as long as he will have me. And the tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste. Could it be worse? Lights will guide you home. And ignite your bones. And I will try to fix you. Fix You, by Coldplay. Edward Pav. Huey up daddy. It's your turn. Alright, let me pick up the card first. I told her. We W her. He currently at the coffee table in the living room playing Candyland. It was now Friday, and I had the day off today because Al had a wedding to go to, so he let everyone take it off. I spent the day cleaning around the house. And did a little grocery shopping. On my way home from the grocery store, I saw a yard sale, and that is where I got Candyland. Avery was overly ecstatic about having an A.W. game to play, and we have been playing it since 3 o'clock. It's 5:30 now. That is 2.5 hours of Candyland, people. Me and Harper were both getting pretty bored with it at this point, but Avery thought it was the coolest thing ever. I took my turn, and then Harper did. Harper drew the card that won her the game, and she had no problem showing her excitement. "Ha, I won," she said, and then got up off the floor and started dancing around. Avery was not pleased. "No, you didn't. You cheated. I win 'cause I is the wed guy and wed is the best color." "That is so not true. You're just mad because I didn't let you win like all of the other times. It's not my fault you stink at this game." "Whatever, you big meanie head. I just won't be your sister anymore." She crossed her arms and huffed loudly, looking away from both of us. Being a dad is hard sometimes because no matter how cute your kids are when they are mad, you still have to make it stop. "Alright, that's enough, you two. Harper, say sorry to your sister for saying she stinks at the game. And Avery, say you're sorry for calling her a meanie and telling her you won't be her sister anymore." They both said sorry at the same time but didn't look at each other at all. Avery still had her arms crossed with a mad expression on her face. "Say it like you mean it, girls," I said firmly. The both sighed heavily and then said sorry to each other the right way. "Thank you. Now let's put this away for now so I can get started on dinner." "Wait, Daddy. Can we play just one more game? I promise I'll be a good girl this time," she asked, looking up to me with her beautiful face. "Yeah, being a dad is hard sometimes. I'm sorry, baby, but I really need to get dinner going. Bella should be here in less than an hour." "Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay Daddy, me and Harper will put this stuffs away, you go make dinner." "Do you think Beulah will want to play Candyland with me when she gets here?" "I'm sure she will. Yay, maybe Beulah will be better at it than you." "Ove you Daddy, but you really stink at Candyland." "Oh, she was going to get it. Excuse me. Did you just say I stink at Candyland?" I asked while stalking my way to her with my hands in the tickle-ready position. She started giggling and backing away from me. "Yes I did. You stink," she told me. Well, at least she is honest. I lunged at her and pulled her into my arms, tickling her mercilessly. "Ah, Daddy, stop. Stop. I can't be weave. I can't be weave." I stopped tickling her for a second so she could catch her breath and heard Harper laughing on the other side of the room. "Hey you, what are you laughing at?" I asked rhetorically. I scooped Avery up and held her like a football, and then went chasing after Harper. I caught her in no time, and then I was tickling both of them at the same time. They were screeching and laughing uncontrollably. And then all of a sudden they turned on me. They both jumped on me at the same time, causing me to fall on my back, and started tickling me. We were all cracking up to the point where it was hard to breathe, and then we finally stopped and just laid on the floor trying to catch our breath. I pulled both of them closer to my chest and hugged them tightly. "I love you girls so much, did you know that?" "Well duh, Daddy, how couldn't you love us? We are AWB some," Avery said. I laughed at her comment and the way she mispronounced awesome, and then started getting up. "You know, you are exactly right. Who couldn't love you guys?" I helped them both up off of the ground. "So do you guys want to help me cook, or would you rather watch some TV until Bella gets here?" "TV, TV, TV," Avery screamed. "I want to help you Daddy," Harper said. I set up the TV for Avery, and she was so excited iCarly was on, and then I made my way to the kitchen where Harper was going through things in the fridge. "Hey baby, can you take out the chicken and barbecue sauce for me? I'll get the pasta." "Sure," she said. She took the ingredients out of the fridge and I noticed she had a strange expression on her face. It was almost as if she was thinking really hard about something and it was bothering her. I took a pan out and began filling it with water to start boiling. Harper was just standing near the counter looking lost in thought. I walked up to her, guided her face up to look at me with my hand on her chin. "What are you thinking about, honey?" "Nothing, I'm fine." "No you're not, I can tell something is bothering you. I think it will make you mad at me," she said so quietly I almost didn't hear it. I put the pan of water on the stove and turned the fire on. I then scooped Harper up and brought her to the kitchen table. I sat down next to her. Harper, don't ever not tell me something because you are afraid of how it will make me feel. I will always be here to listen to what you have to say no matter what. I promise I won't get mad, can you please just tell me? She looked at me for a couple of minutes and then started. What came out of her mouth opened up old wounds. I knew this day would come. I was just hoping it would have been at a later date. I wasn't prepared, but I need to stay strong for my babies. Why don't we have a mommy? How do you explain something like this, T? Oh, a sweet innocent little girl without hurting her. I could find no way to do that, which caused a very prominent ache in my chest, knowing what I had to say was going to hurt her. Well, you do have a mommy, honey, but she is just not here. Why not? Did she die? Because Ashley at school said her daddy died, so does that mean it happens to mommies too? No, your mommy didn't die, she just had a low T of grown-up problems she had to deal with and there was no way she could be here with you guys. That is a lie, but what am I supposed to say? Your mother is a heartless bitch who would rather do drugs and sleep around than be a part of her daughter's lives. No, I can't say that, which is forcing me to lie to my angel. I told myself I was going to try and never lie to them, but you sometimes have to do what you gotta do. Again, it's fucking hard to be a father. So she didn't love us then. The truth was, no, she didn't love them, and it killed me inside to even think the words. But again, I couldn't tell Harper this. No, she loved you guys, but sometimes grown-ups have some things they need to deal with, which makes them have to leave the ones they love. She looked up at me with tears rolling down her cheeks and causing a burning, searing pain in my chest when she asked, "Are you going to have to leave us too?" I felt the tears rush to my eyes and felt the empty hollow pain in my chest. I pulled Harper from her chair and pulled her to my chest in an attempt to comfort her and fill the hole that was burning in my chest with her warmth. I held her tight and told her about the only thing in this world that I was 100% sure about. Never. I will never, ever leave you girls. It is impossible for that to happen. You are both my reason for living, and every single thing I do is for you girls. I love you and your sister so much, Harper, and I don't want you to ever forget that, okay? Don't ever forget that. I won't, Daddy. She sniffled. I held her to me for a couple more seconds and then pulled back. Okay, why don't we go and finish dinner now? Bella is going to be here soon. Okay. I absolutely cannot wait until Bella walks through that door. I haven't seen her since Saturday. But we talked on the phone every night since then. Right after I put the girls to bed, I would settle into the couch and call Bella. Our conversations would last until about midnight every night. Of course that meant I was usually tired the next day, but it is all worth it. I swear I have learned almost everything about Bella there is to know. I know she wasn't born in Boston, I knew she was actually born in Florida. But they had to move because of her father's work. I knew her father had some kind of job with computers. I knew her mother was a stay-at-home mom. I knew her best friends were Alice, Jasper, and Emmett. I knew her favorite snack was chocolate Teddy Grahams, which I bought at the store today. I knew she liked her coffee with no cream and extra sugar. Let's just say I know a lot about her. And each new thing I learned about her made me like her even more. I would think about her a lot during the day. I almost called her on my breaks a couple of times, just to hear her voice. But decided against it because she was working. She was just so perfect to me. I don't know why, but she just is. Maybe it's because we just fit together, it's so easy to be with each other, and I ND myself thinking that this might be the real thing. It scares me to even admit it to myself, but I can definitely see myself falling in love with Bella. It scared the shit out of me, but at the same time, made me feel so fucking happy. I was pulled out of my Bella bubble by a knock on the door. I put the spoon down that I was using for the pasta and went to get the door. I opened it and felt my heart swell by just looking at her. She walked in kind of shyly and I looked around to make sure the girls couldn't see and kissed her. I meant for it to be a fast thing, considering the girls will probably be making their presence known. But Bella put her hands to the back of my neck and pulled my hair a little bit. The kiss grew increasingly passionate and I felt Bella's tongue slip in between my lips and I was happy to oblige. As much as I would have loved to stand there and kiss Bella the whole night, I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I slowly pulled away from her and then pulled her in for a quick hug. "Would it freak you out if I told you I missed you?" I asked. She laughed a little. "Not at all, because I missed you too." I smiled and took her hand to pull her into the living room. Harper and Avery were currently watching SpongeBob. "Hey girls, Bella is here, why don't you say hi?" Avery was up and off of the couch at the word, "Bella," and she ran to Bella and hugged her legs tightly. Harper followed behind her and just waved slightly and mumbled a, "Hi." "Hi, Beulah. Do you want to play Candy Wand with me and Harper?" "Daddy can't play because he stinks and he is a boy." "Really, Avery? Now I can't play because I'm a boy." Avery just shrugged her shoulders. "Yes, cuz we white talkin' 'bout girl stuff. And that's not the only reason, Daddy, you stink at it and take to Wong." Bella was laughing at her, and decided to join her. "I know what you mean, Avery. I can't stand it when people take too long to take their turn, especially when they are boys. Then it's a good thing that my daddy doesn't pee way. He takes forever." Bella continued laughing at me and I turned to Harper, hoping at least one person in this house would side with me. Once I met Harper's eyes, she just shrugged her shoulders. "Sorry Dad, but you do take a long time. 3 against 1. How the hell did this happen?" "Well, alright then. I guess this slow boy will just go to the kitchen and finish dinner while all the girls do what girls do," I said dramatically while walking slowly to the kitchen. "I guess I'll just have to have all of the ice cream for myself while you guys play." That got them to change their mind real fast. Blank. "This is really good, Edward," Bella said through bites of her food. "Thanks, but it wasn't just me, Harper helped me." "Oh well then Harper, this food is delicious." "Thanks, Bella," she said. Harper was being very quiet during dinner. She was watching Bella carefully though and looking between the two of us every now and then. Once dinner was done, I took out CA in D-Land and they actually let me play since I threatened them with the ice cream. "Hey Bella, did you know Sunday is Father's Day?" Harper randomly asked. "Actually yes I did. Do you guys have something planned?" "Shish. Beulah, we can't tell Daddy about our surprise." "Avery," Harper yelled. "Stop talking please for a couple of minutes, and do you know the meaning of a secret is?" "Oops, sorry," she said quietly and then went to take her turn. "Did you know it is also my dad's birthday?" "Just don't think about it, Edward. Put it in the back of your head, you can do this." "Shit, it's not working, I can feel the ache building." Focus on the girls. Focus on Bella, focus on the existence of Avery, you got this." I felt Bella's hand on mine and finally pulled myself out of the dark parts of my mind. "I know I need to get it together because I'm going to have to fake it really well on Sunday." "No, I didn't know that. Why didn't you tell me, Edward?" It just slipped my mind, I guess." She gave me a look that said we would talk about it later. Blank. I stepped out of the girls' room after putting them to bed, and saw Bella sitting on the couch waiting for me. She looked up when I walked in, and I sat next to her. "Why didn't you tell me about your birthday, Edward?" "I already told you, I forgot." "I don't believe you, even your 7-year-old daughter remembered." She looked away from me for a second with her knee bouncing. "I don't even know why I am so upset about this. I guess it was because I thought we were getting along really well, and you make it seem like you like me and may want to be more. But I guess I was wrong." I pulled her hands from her lap and brought them to my face. "Hey, I do like you and I most definitely want to be more. Then why didn't you think it would be a good idea to tell me about your birthday? That's usually a good thing to know about someone that you might potentially be with." "I don't know your birthday." "September 13th, 1984. But that is besides the point. Mine is in more than 2 months, yours is in 2 days, Edward." "I'm sorry, okay, my birthday is June 20th, 1985. There, I said it. Now can we just get over this because I really just want to kiss you." Her face softened immediately and then she took my face in her hands and pulled me to her for a kiss. This kiss was different than the rest, it was almost like the one we shared at the door, only hotter. She kept pulling me closer to the point where I was lying above her on the couch holding myself up with my elbows so I didn't crush her. Her hands were pulling at my shirt on my back and my hands were in her hair. We made out like that for a little while until the need for oxygen weighed out our need for each other. I stayed above her and looked in her eyes as we both tried to catch out breaths. She took her hands from my back and brought them to my face. She alternated from stroking my face to my hair and it felt like heaven. I'm sure you have plans with the girls on Sunday. Considering it's Father's Day and your birthday, but can I come over for dinner or something? She asked while biting her lip. She is so beautiful. Of course you can, Bella, I would love nothing more. I brought my face down to hers and kissed her again. Have I told you you were beautiful yet today? She chuckled and kissed me quickly. No, not today, but at least it makes sense now that you can see me. You tell me I'm beautiful over the phone all the time. Well, you are beautiful, what else am I supposed to do? We kissed a little more and then the filter between my brain and my mouth went off for a second. Will you be my girlfriend? Bella, what the hell? That is no way to ask someone to be your girlfriend, you idiot. While you are over her on your crappy couch and this isn't even a real date. Pened my mouth to tell her she doesn't need to answer that question when I was cut off by her lips. I was a little surprised at first but I reciprocated the action seconds later. She pulled away and looked at me with her beautiful eyes and said the most beautiful words. There is nothing in this world that I would love more than to get the honor of being your girlfriend. A smile broke out on my face. That I'm sure made me look like a dork, but Bella didn't seem to mind because she just kissed me again. Sitting here, kissing my girlfriend, with my girls in the room down the hall, safe and happy, I couldn't help but feel hope. I know it was dangerous for me to hope though, because things don't always turn out the way I want in life. But feeling this hope felt good. Being with Bella felt good. My life, at the moment, was good. I just hope it will last. I think I was blind before I met you. Now I don't know where I am. I don't know where I've been. But I know where I want to go. First Day of My Life, by Bright Eyes. Bella Pav. Hello, this is Charlie Swan. Happy Father's Day, Dad, I said as enthusiastically as I could. Oh, thanks Bella. I didn't even know that was today. Well, it is, so do I. Oh, you want to go to lunch or something so I could give you your gift? I don't know, Bells. I'm kind of held up at work right now. The launch of the new software is in 2 weeks and I need to make sure everything is perfect. That doesn't surprise me. He never wants to just hang out with me. I really only ever see him on holidays when we are all obligated to be in the same room as each other. He doesn't even call me anymore unless it's to yell at me for doing something wrong. Alright, so do you want to make a day where you are free for us to have lunch together so I can give you the gift I got you? I'm pretty much booked for the next month, Bella. If worse comes to worse you can just send it to me by mail. Oh yeah, because that's real personal. Okay, then I will call you sometime then. Yup, sounds good kid. But I really have to go, love ya, Bells. Love you too, Dad. I checked the time on the clock and saw that it was only 10 in the morning. That means about 9 hours until I went to see Edward and the girls. Great. Now what am I going to do for 9 hours? I decided I might as well just go to the post office and send my dad's gift now because I know we won't meet again before Thanksgiving. I went in the post office and made sure it was being shipped to the right place and all that, and then I left. As I was walking to the door I saw at least 15 paparazzi outside. Now usually this doesn't bother me too much. I mean, I don't like it at all, but now as I'm walking out of this post office I feel the bile rising in my throat. The only thought going through my head as I am trying to my way through them to my car is Edward, 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 the girls, Edward, Edward, don't hate me, Edward, don't leave me. I finally make it to my car and I drive off. I don't get very far though, because my breathing was all over the place. As soon as I was out of sight of those heartless individuals I pulled off to the side of the road. I took many calming breaths and tried to ease the ache in my chest. I know I have to tell Edward. I have to tell him as soon as possible. I should have already told him. I have meant to, but it just seems like every time I have seen him, there has been something going on. On our first date, he was distraught about his brother. It's not something you tell someone over the phone. And on Friday, we were with the girls most of the time and I can honestly say I forgot about it afterwards. I forget just about everything when I am with him. I guess I could tell him today, but how could I tell him on his birthday and Father's Day? Why should I ruin that for him? So I have decided that tomorrow I will definitely tell him. I guess it is really selfish of me though because I just want to make sure today is perfect, and I am going to commit every single thing about him to memory. Because I have a bad feeling about this. I was pulled from my thought by the ringing of my phone. I picked it up and looked at the caller ID to see it was Edward calling. I immediately answered. Hello, Bella. Do you think you could come over here? He asked in a weird tone. It sounded like he was mad or sad about something, but it wasn't good. Sure, Edward, what is it? Is there something wrong? No, yes, a little bit. Can you just come over? I'll be there in 5 minutes. It took me only a couple of minutes to make it to his house, and I automatically ran up to his apartment. He opened the door immediately and took my hand to lead me into the hall to the girls' room where they were both taking a nap. This was the first time I have been in here. I still haven't seen Edward's room either. It was small, but it was perfect. There were girly princess stickers on the walls, and each girl had a little bed with their own comforters. Harper's was purple, and Avery's was pink. Edward D took me to the wall across from their beds and sat down on the floor. He pulled me down with him. Edward sat with his back against the wall with his knees bent. Once I was on the floor, he pulled me in between his 2 legs and put his arms around my waist. He held me tight and buried his face in my neck. He was breathing weird and I thought he was going to cry. I was so confused. I decided to let him figure it out for himself and give him time to calm down. I ran my hands along his arms that were holding me so tightly in an effort to calm him. After about 5 minutes his breathing went back to normal and he picked his head up from my neck and kissed me on the cheek a couple of times. Thank you, Bella. What are you thanking me for, Edward? Can you please tell me what is wrong? Maybe I can help you. You have helped me. Edward, you're starting to scare me. What is going on? I can't talk about it right now. They will be up in about a half an hour and I'm going to need more time than if I am going to talk to you about this. Later I'll try, okay? I promise. Okay, I whispered. He rose up from his spot on the floor and took me with him. He walked to each of the girls' beds and kissed at each of their foreheads and whispered he loved them. He walked back to me and grabbed my hand and brought me into the kitchen. It's kind of a tradition for us to have pizza bagels on Father's Day. We make them together. So do you think you could help me start cutting up peppers and stuff? When they wake up they will be hungry, so they can just make their own pizzas and it won't take too long. I nodded my head yes. He smiled slightly and turned to go to the fridge, but I grabbed his arm before he made it there and pulled him towards me so I could kiss him. He kissed me right back. The kiss didn't get out of hand though, because I knew we needed to get going on the pizza bagels. I took my mouth away from his and held his face in my hands while looking into his beautiful green eyes. Happy birthday, Edward. I watched his eyes close tightly for a second before he looked back up to me. Thank you, Bella. Me and Edward worked on getting the stuff for the bagels ready and it only took us about 15 minutes. And the girls were still sleeping, so we just put the cut up things back in the fridge. We sat on the couch and Edward was telling me about the girls' surprises for him. He seemed in a lighter mood now and I was getting happier seeing it. Well, they both woke me up at about 7 o'clock by jumping on me. He said with a little laugh. Avery got a little too excited and almost flew off the back of the couch. Wait, he sleeps on the couch. Once I was awake I saw they had a breakfast in bed kind of thing going on. They put milk in one of Avery's old sippy cups and they had a bag of chocolate chip Little Bites muffins. I had no idea where they came from, so I asked them and Harper said she saved them from her breakfast they gave her on school Friday, so she could give them to me. Oh my God, that is the sweetest thing I have ever heard. A big smile was on his face. I know you're telling me. So did you enjoy the muffins? Yeah, I only had one though. I gave the others to them, only 5 come in a package. Edward, if I ask you something, will you promise not to freak out at me and get mad? He looked concerned for a second but agreed sure. Bella, what is it? Do you have a bedroom? Oh, no, I sleep out here. This apartment only has 1 bedroom, so I gave it to the girls to share. Did you ever think about finding a bigger apartment? No, because I know I can't afford one right now. Would you be opposed to me helping you a little bit, financially? He looked at me curiously and said yes, I actually would be opposed to that, Bella. It's my responsibility to support my family, not yours. But I could just give you a little bit of money to help you out for a little while. He cut me off and said abruptly, how much money do you have, Bella? This was it, my opening. There was no turning back now. I have to tell him. Well, Daddy. Shit, Guess not. We will talk about this later, Bella. Edward saw Ed while going to the girls' room. He came back moments later with both girls in his arms. Hey Beulah, want to help us make pizza bagels? Sure. We went in the kitchen and made our pizza bagels. I made a simple cheese piece, Harper made herself a pepperoni, Edward had ham, and Avery made one with peppers and olives. Avery was one unique child, I tell you. Harper seemed to be warming up to me a little bit. She never really talked to me too much before, but today she was asking me a lot of questions abo. Books, and she seemed to be enjoying being around me more, which made me feel extra happy. Once we were finished eating, we continued on with the day. We just stayed inside and played Candyland and watched movies. Currently, we were watching Finding Nemo. Edward sat in the middle of the couch with Avery on his lap. I was on his right side with my hand in his, and Harper was on his left with her head on his chest and his arm was around her. I've never seen Finding Nemo before, so I was curious to see what it was about, and I loved it. It was so funny, and Harper and Avery knew almost all of the words, so it was cute hearing them reenact it. Oh, Daddy, our part if coming up. We got to do it and show Bella. You can show Bella how you speak whale. I looked up at Edward and saw him blushing slightly. How cute. I don't know, baby. I don't think I can talk whale today. Oh come on Daddy. But you do it so good. You sound just like Dowie. I'll be Marlin. Come on puis see. He looked down at her pouting face and then nodded his head. Yay. Harper, can you tune it up please? Harper nodded her head with a smile on her face. She seemed excited that Edward was going to do this. When she sat back down, she surprised me and squeezed in next to me. You have to hear this, Bella. It's so funny. Daddy sounds just like Dory. I looked at Edward and saw that he was smiling, but still looked a little embarrassed. I gave his hand a squeeze to let him know it was okay. And then the scene started and Edward and Avery went to work. Maybe he only speaks whale. We need Edward repeated perfectly from the movie. Harper, Avery, and I were already laughing, but Avery still didn't mess up her part. Dowie, 2fiind his soon. We all laughed harder after he said son, because his voice went really Ow, and he made the weirdest faces when he was speaking whale. Wah, what are you? Avery couldn't even do her part because she was laughing so hard tears were coming down her eyes like the rest of us. Edward was only chuckling a little bit, but he kept going because he saw how happy he was making us. Can yo give us directions? He made some more really weird faces while doing it and his voice went high on the last part. I was laughing so hard I thought I was going to pee my pants. And it happened in that moment. I wasn't expecting it to hit me so suddenly, but it did. I should be scared of this. I should want to run away and hide. It's too soon. But it wasn't. Why do people put a time limit on these things? They weren't accurate. Not everyone is the same. People feel in different ways. And I know what this feeling was. It has been building ever since he walked into my bookstore. It was love. I love him. I became dazed for a couple of seconds by my realization, just trying to figure out what the fuck I was going to do. Do I tell him? Would he freak out if I did? Bella, I heard my love call to me. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. More than fine. I was perfect. I looked around and saw that the girls were no longer in the living room. Where did the girls go? They went to the kitchen to make dinner. I hope you like turkey sandwiches. He smiled his beautiful smile at me and I couldn't help but pull him in for a quick kiss. He pulled away before I did. I called Rose to ask her to stay with the girls after they go to bed. I was thinking we could go to the meadow and we can talk. I think I want to tell you about Jack and other things, if you don't mind. I mean, I'll try, but I have never talked about that stuff to anyone, so I don't know. Sounds good. It was now 8:30 a.m. Edward was getting the girls ready for bed and I was helping him. Avery wanted me to put her hair up in a ponytail for her. She didn't really have very long hair, but it was enough. While we were in the kitchen, and the girls were having a quick drink before bed, there was a knock at the door. Edward went to get it and then he re-emerged with a beautiful young blonde behind him. She noticed the girls first and they both put their cups down to go greet her. After she was done hugging them, she finally looked up at me. Realization came to her face and she looked a mixed between shocked, confused, and pissed off. Shit. She knows who I am. Edward was oblivious to her stare and made his way towards me. Rosalie, this is Bella, my girlfriend. Bella, this is my friend slash babysitter Rose. He introduced us. Hi, it's nice to meet you, I said while reaching out to shake her hand. It seemed like she wasn't going to shake my hand until she looked up at Edward and saw the look that was on his face. She grudgingly brought her hand to mine and shook it. Yeah, you too, she said. Daddy, we are ready now, Harper called from their bedroom. Okay, well that's my cue to leave, I'll be back when they are asleep. This left me alone with Rosalie, and as soon as Edward was in their room she was grilling me. What the fuck do you think you are doing here? Damn, she was pissed. I guess she had a reason to though. I'm Edward's girlfriend. We were just celebrating his birthday. That is not what I meant and you know it, she said in a hushed yell. I mean, what the fuck is Isabella Swan doing in my friend's kitchen? Look, Rosalie, it's not what you think. I really like Edward, and those girls, I don't want to hurt them. I was cut off once again. Do you think this is some kind of game? Do you think you can just waltz in here with your designer shoes on and destroy this little family's lives? No, I practically yelled. That's not it at all. I can explain. I am going to tell Edward about my situation soon, I just haven't got the chance. Haven't got the chance? Really? Well, I realize that this is not something that I should tell him, but I swear to God, Isabella fucking Swan, that if you don't tell him within the next couple of weeks, I will. I'm going to, soon, I swear. I literally cannot believe this right now. Rosalie, I know you care about Edward, and I care about him too. Does this girl know how to let people talk? You care about him, do you? If you care about him, then why haven't you told him the truth yet? I will admit that I don't know what has gone on in Edward's past, but what I do know is that he has gotten over it, kind of, and he is an amazing person. Did you know that every single morning, before he goes off to work, he gets all of the girls' clothes ready for the day? When he knows I am perfectly capable of doing it. Did you know that he walked 6 miles from his job to Harper's school to see her play, when his car was broken down and he couldn't get a ride? Did you know that he sits in their room every single night before they go to bed to read to them and listen about their day? Edward worships the people he cares about and is there for them no matter what. And, again, I don't know the whole story. But I know enough to know that his parents abandoned him, and he has no one. And now you come in here, making him care about you and maybe even love you by the look on his face just moments ago. This is going to destroy him, Isabella. He has already lost a lot in his life and now you are only going to make it worse for him unless you tell him soon. I felt the tears building in my eyes because she is right. I have gotten in too deep. Edward is in too deep. I took too long to tell him about this and he is probably going to hate me. I forced the tears back. When Edward walked back into the kitchen and asked me if I was ready, I nodded my head yes, and left with him. I could tell he was nervous, and so was I. I knew why we were going to the meadow. Rode trusted me enough to talk to me about his past. I should have made it stop. But I couldn't. I love him and I want to be here for him. I will tell him tomorrow. We finally made it to the meadow and we sat down in the middle of it. The moon was casting a light for us. We sat like we did the first time, both of us sitting cross-legged in front of each other with our hands clasped together. Edward D took a deep breath and then began talking. Bella, I just have to ask you one thing before I start. I nodded my head at him and then he continued. Are you sure that you want to hear this story, Bako? Say I am going to warn you, it is as fucked up as any story can get, and I don't want it to scare you away. I'm sure, Edward. I think it will be better for you if you talk about it with me and I just want to be here to help you in any way I can. He picked up my hands and kissed the knuckles on both of my hands. He took a few long deep breaths before he said anything else. Okay Bella, I think I'm ready now. This is the last night you'll spend alone. Look me in the eyes so I know you know. I'm everywhere you want me to be. The last night you'll spend alone. I'll wrap you in my arms and I won't let go. I'm everything you need me to be. The Last Night, by Skillet. Edward Pav. I can't believe I am about to do this. I was feeling a lot of things right now. I felt nervous, because I have never trusted a NY1 enough to tell them what I am about to tell Bella. I felt relief because I was hoping by saying this, I can get this off my chest, and maybe I can deal with it better. But most of all I felt scared. I was scared about having to all of a sudden relive these moments in my life that I have been trying to block out for so long now. I was scared about what Bella will think. I was just scared. I looked up at Bella's face and saw the concern in her face, and I could tell that she cared. I'm not sure if she cares about me as much as I care about her, because I think I might love her, but it was enough and I was ready to trust her with this. I guess I should start with my parents. My parents' names are Elizabeth and Edward, and believe it or not they are pretty wealthy. She looked a little surprised but nodded her head in encouragement. Now I don't know if you remember, but I told you Jack was 8 years older than me, and my parents didn't mean to have us so far apart. I was a surprise, I guess you can say. Growing up, I was always compared to Jack. Jack was perfect in the eyes of my parents, so if I did anything that was slightly different than him, it was the end of the world to my pa. Rents which drew a wedge between me and my mom and dad. We were never really close to each other. I never resented Jack for it though, because I worshipped the ground he walked on. And he never made me feel like I should change myself because of him. He was always defending me against my parents. I can still remember the time when I was 11 years old. My dad was trying to get me to play baseball, and I wanted to take guitar lessons. Flashback. But why can't I just take the guitar lessons instead? It's cheaper to take guitar lessons than playing stupid baseball. I told my father, Edward, your brother played baseball all of his life. And do you see what happened for him? He had colleges sending him letters almost every day so he could be in their school. Don't you want that too? No, I don't. And that because I want to play guitar instead. People go to college for playing music too, you know. My father ran his hands through his dark brown hair and sighed in frustration. Listen to me right now, Edward. You are going to play baseball next week and that is final. Oh come on Dad, please don't make me. What about I do both? No, baseball only, and if you have a problem with it, I'm sorry but you will just have to deal with it. He said firmly and then walked out of my room, slamming the door behind him. Once he was gone I snuck to the library and used the phone to call Jack. He was currently going to Harvard for medicine. Maybe he can help me. Hello. Jack, it's Edward. Hey short stuff, what's up? I kind of need your help because Dad is being very mean right now. What did he do, buddy? He is forcing me to play baseball next week and I really don't want to, Jack. I really want to play the guitar instead but he won't let me. Okay, I'll be by there later and I will talk to him and see what I can do, alright? Okay, thanks Jack. Alright, I love you buddy, I'll talk to you later. Love you too, Jack. End flashback. That night, he came to my room and told me he made a compromise with my dad and he said I could play guitar if I also played baseball. I whined at that but Jack promised me he would help me practice and stuff. And he did. Every Wednesday he would bring me right here, to this meadow, and he taught me to play. Wow, that was really nice of him. I think that is great that you were both so close. I know, and it was. I would always try to be there for him when he needed me, and he was always there for me. I took a deep breath because I knew this part would be hard. He was especially there for me when I got Heidi pregnant. I already felt an ache in my chest by just saying her name. It wasn't because I missed her or anything, it was just because thinking about her made me think about how much her stupidity is probably going to affect my girls. So that is Harper and Avery's mother. Bella asked for confirmation. Yeah, her name was Heidi Leavenworth. She was that girl that all the guys wanted and all the girls wanted to be. She was beautiful, there is no denying that. But it's easy to see past the pretty face once you got to know her. I remember the first night I met her, and it just happened to be the night Harper was conceived. Flashback. Hey Edward, look at that hot piece over there. She is looking at you. My friend Garrett told me. Me and Garrett were currently at a college party trying to pick up some hot chicks. It wasn't an unusual Friday night for us, this is what we always do. It's what we are known for. I don't sleep with all of them though, I've only been with 2 girls, and one of them was my girlfriend that I just broke up with yesterday. But I think that is going to change after tonight. I looked over at the girl Garrett was talking about and thought I hit the jackpot. She was hot. She had dirty blonde hair, with the biggest rack I have ever seen on a girl. Probably fake but who gives a fuck. I made my way over to her because she most definitely was looking at me. Once I approached, she took my hand and dragged me upstairs. End flashback. I was stupid. She didn't even say one word to me the whole time. After we were done she just said a quick thank you and then left. She didn't know my name and I didn't know hers. I felt really bad afterwards. I felt used and I wished I would have said something to her. That is horrible, Edward. I can't believe she took advantage of you like that, especially when you were practically a child. It is fucked up, I know. But I didn't help the situation either, I was a stupid hormonal 17-year-old. So if you didn't know her name, and she didn't know yours, how did you find out about Harper? Well, actually it turns out that she knew exactly who I was and she came to tell me about Harper when she was already 5 months pregnant. Flashback. I was sitting in my room playing around with my guitar that Jack got me. I was home alone because my parents went out to dinner with some people. I heard the doorbell ring and immediately went to get it. I opened the door and almost choked on my own spit when I saw the girl that has been haunting me for about 5 months. I was still confused about our whole exchange and felt disappointed in myself. After seeing her face I then looked at the rest of her and almost threw up all over her when I saw she was most definitely pregnant. We need to talk, Mr. Cullen, she said. I nodded my head and opened the door more so she could walk in. I walked in front of her and tried to lead her to the living room, but she just took my arm and told me to stop. I don't want to sit and have a precious talk with you, Cullen. This is going to be quick and simple. The kid is yours. I'm obviously 5 months pregnant and it's a girl, isn't that just sweet? She asked sarcastically. Now I want to put it up for adoption, but I am going to need you to sign some papers. I stood there dumbfounded for a second. I am going to have a daughter. But wait, she wants to give it up. Could I do that? Could I really go on the rest of my life knowing that I have a daughter out there? No, I couldn't. I am all for adoption when the parents are incapable of caring for the child, but I am capable. I practically live in a mansion and I have enough money in my trust fund to last me at least a couple of years. There is no way I can let this happen. Wait, don't I get a say in this? No, you don't. I am the one who has to carry the little shit for another 4 months, so I make the decisions. Well then, what if I don't sign the papers? What if I refuse? Look, you are making this more complicated than it has to be. You're lucky I'm even having the thing. I found I was pregnant too late to get an abortion, so this is the last resort. But it's not the last resort. I want her, I will take care of her. She laughed menacingly. You're a kid, Eddie. There is no way you can raise a kid. I have a lot of money, I will be able to provide for her, and I can try and raise her the best way I can. I will have help. Just let me take her, please. It's better that she stays with me. She looked at me like I was crazy for a couple of seconds, but then she nodded. All right, I guess that works. Now I don't have to spend all of this money to set everything up. Well, I am due in the end of June, so I would prepare for that, I guess. I know this sounds really bad because you are standing there carrying my child, but can you tell me your name and give me your phone number? It's Heidi. Heidi L. Leavenworth. Here is my card. She pulled a bright pink business card out of her purse. It was for a nail salon. Now I just want you to know one thing. You better not try and make me be a part of this kid's life. I don't want it. I don't want it now and I won't want it later. From now on, whenever we talk, it will be about this thing and nothing else. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be your friend. Do you understand? Yes. End flashback. So I guess you can guess the rest of the story. I told my parents that night. My dad hit me, my brother saved me, and then I lived with him for about a month. Jack talked to my parents and got them to take me back to the house. They gave me advanced access to my trust fund and told me to go crazy with getting a room ready for the baby and everything. They were adamant that I do this on my own. They said they would babysit and stuff, but there was no way they were going to raise her. And I didn't expect them to. They had no problem telling me they were ashamed and disappointed in me, they were. And I took it, because I made my bed, so I knew I had to lay in it. Jack, on the other hand, was happy for me. Obviously he wasn't too happy with me at first, but I get it. I mean, I was a 17-year-old kid about to have a kid. But he pretty much told me shit happens and there is no need to dwell on the bad things about it. I looked up at Bella and saw the tears in her eyes. I'm just speechless, Edward. I can't believe how horrible Heidi is, I can't believe how much your parents don't care, and I can't believe how supportive your brother is. I brought my hands to her face and wiped the tears away. I know what you mean, and Jack was supportive 100%. I smiled a little thinking about the next part of the story. He was there when Harper was born too. One of the happiest days of my life. Flashback. I was sitting in the baby's pink nursery putting away some of the clothes away when Jack called me from down the hall. Edward, get your ass down here now. Mrs. Leavenworth just called. You are going to be a dad. I bolted from my spot on the floor and ran downstairs. I grabbed the bag I packed for this day and then followed Jack out to the car. Once I was in the car I started freaking out. Oh my God, Jack. I think I am going to throw up. Jack laughed at me and said, don't worry little brother, all of your worries will go away once you see that daughter of yours. How would you know? You don't even have a kid. Well, I actually don't know, but I have read stuff. We made it to the hospital in no time and a nurse directed us to where the room was. Heidi and I already agreed that she would let me in the room for when my daughter was born, so I went into the room and Jack stayed in the waiting room. As soon as I walked in, I could already tell Heidi was pissed. It's about time you fucking got here. I came as soon as your mother called, which was about 15 minutes ago. Whatever. The doctor is on her way so I can push this thing out. She said. She screamed really loud after that, so I was expecting she was having a contraction. 10 minutes later a doctor came in and said she was ready to push. The rest of the delivery was a blur to me. I remember Heidi wouldn't let me touch her and there was a lot of screaming. What I do remember though is the sound of my daughter's first cry and seeing her beautiful face for the first time. The doctor pulled her out. And it was kind of gross, but all I could see was my baby's tiny bald head and her scrunched up crying face as the doctor cleared her throat and nose. The doctor went to put the baby on Heidi's chest. But Heidi pushed her away. The doctor looked a little shocked and then looked at me. Would you like to cut the cord? I nodded my head yes and cut my baby away from her horrible mother. After the cord was cut, a nurse picked her up, still crying, to the weighing station. I followed her because I couldn't imagine taking my eyes off of my daughter for more than a second. The nurse weighed her and then bundled her up. My baby was still crying and it broke my heart. Well, we know her lungs are working fine. The nurse said with a smile. I smiled too. Are you her father? I was overwhelmed by her question. I am a father. I nodded my head because I felt so much emotion right now I don't think anything I said would make sense. Well, would you like to hold her? I nodded my head vehemently and she handed me my daughter. As soon as she was in my arms she stopped crying almost immediately. She looked into my eyes with curiosity and her little mouth formed an adorable, oh. Once I had her in my arms, and my baby was looking at me, I began to cry. I was laughing and crying at the same time and finally tried to say something. Hello, my angel. I'm your daddy. I ran my finger along her face and then took her tiny hand in between my thumb and forefinger. I love you, baby. I love you so much, my little Harper Elizabeth. I lifted her so I could rest her little head on my shoulder and I rubbed her back. I kissed her head multiple times and just held her close. Excuse me, sir. I looked up and saw the nurse from before. We need to take her to the nursery and do some tests just to make sure everything is going good. Can I go with her? Of course, we will need to wheel her down, but you can follow us there. I nodded my head and reluctantly gave her to the nurse. I will meet you down there though. There is something I need to do. She nodded her head and left with my daughter. I went to Heidi's bed where she was talking on the phone. Yeah, it's finally over. I'll be over there tomorrow. But just make sure you don't start without me. She said a couple more things and then hung up and looked at me. I told you I don't want to talk to you. I'm not pregnant anymore. I just wanted to say thank you. For her. She laughed. You are a sappy little shit, aren't you? Well, have fun having no life. You can leave now. I can't believe this woman. I really can't. How could you look at your own child and not feel anything? I turned to leave, because I didn't want to ever see her again. Once I got out of the door I saw Jack outside of it with a big smile on his face. I saw her, little brother. When they wheeled her out. Congratulations, she is beautiful. I smiled, still standing outside of the door, a couple of feet away from Jack, and just started crying again. My B. Rother came up to me and wrapped his arms around me. He hugged me tightly and it was good to know that at least one person in this world was on my side. I wrapped my arms around my brother, sobbed into his shoulder. It's going to be okay. Little brother. I know you are scared but I will be here to help you, I promise, and that little girl is going to love you so much. You can do this, everything will be okay. End flashback. I felt the tears come to my eyes thinking about that day and all of the different emotions that I had. Jack helped me a lot, and God knows I needed it. He was at the house every day and helped me. He let me sleep if she had me up every night. He helped when she got her first cold. He was there when she said her first word. He was there when she took her first step. My parents barely helped me at all. They would offer to babysit Harper a couple of times because she was their granddaughter, and they loved her, but they never really talked to me. They were still disappointed in me. But I didn't blame them. They helped me enough by letting me and Harper stay in their house, and I knew they loved me. Bella was crying softly now, so was Jack with you all the time. The tears that were in my eyes finally fell. Because I knew this would be the hardest part. This part was going to hurt the most. I could already feel the scorching pain and I haven't even said a word yet. Yeah, he was there, right to the end. I took a deep breath. This is where the story gets really fucked up, Bella. The night my brother died was a fucked up night and it was my decisions that made it that way. This is going to be hard for me, so I hope you will be patient. Bella held on tighter to my hands. Take your time, Edward. I am here. I'm not going anywhere. I nodded and kissed her quickly. It was on my 21st birthday. Harper was 3 years old. At this point in my life, I wasn't going to school because I had to be home with Harper and I was having a tough time accepting that I was never going to be a normal kid. I loved Harper with my whole heart, that wasn't the problem, and I never stopped trying to be the best father I could to her, but I was falling apart inside. I began to have a shorter temper and Jack was noticing it. I was always yelling at him and I was always mopey whenever Harper wasn't with me. So on my 21st birthday, Jack told me he was going to take me out to get my first drink. So we asked my parents to babysit and made our way to the bar. Flashback. So where are you taking me? We are going to a small Irish pub that is right across town. Nice. Hey, thanks again, Jack, for taking me out. I really appreciate it. No problem, little brother. You have been working hard dealing with Harper, so I thought you could use a little break. It feels weird being away from Harper though. I miss her already and we just left. Yeah, but it's only for one night and she will be fine. I nodded my head and looked out the window. Hey Edward, I know this is your first time drinking, so I just want to warn you to not drink too much at once. I'm trusting you to be responsible, okay? Sure. I invited some of my friends to go with us and there is going to be a girl there that I met last week. I like her, so don't be a douche. You make it seem like I am such a troublemaker. Well, you used to be. I won't make the girl afraid of you. Good to know. Once we got to the bar, there were a lot of people there. I finally got my first drink and it was vodka. Jack drank the first 2 shots with me and then he went to go talk to the girl he was meeting with. And I kept on drinking. I must have drank about 10 shots and I was wasted beyond all belief. Jack Pa, so do you have any kids? Ashley asked me. She was a nice girl, I liked her. Oh, no, but I have a niece that I spend a lot of time with. She is really cute. Aw, that's sweet. What's her name? How old is she? Her name is Harper and she is 3. I said proudly. I loved my niece with all my heart and I loved bragging about her. My brother has really done a good job with her. What a beautiful name. So she is your brother's daughter? The one that is here? Yes, she's Edward's daughter. He has had her since he was 17 and it's amazing what he has done with her. I'm really proud of him. Well, it's nice to see 2 brothers so close. I nodded my head and we continued talking. I wanted to check on Edward but I didn't want to be a nag either. I trusted him and knew he would be responsible. Ashley was telling me about her parents when we heard yelling and banging going on in the back of the bar. We both spun around to look at what the commotion was and then I saw red when I saw what was happening. There was a tall man with blonde hair on top of my brother punching him repeatedly in the face. What the fuck is going on? I got up from my chair as fast as I could and ran to them. I pulled the asshole off of my brother and threw him behind me. I really didn't want to fight him, so I went to Edward and helped him up. Fuck, he's drunk. Made Edward sit on the chair closest to us and then turned to the other guy who was standing now and looking fucking pissed. I went up to him and got in his face. No one touches my brother like that. No one. What the fuck is your problem with my brother? What is my problem? I just caught your brother fucking my girlfriend in the back room. He yelled in my face. I turned to Edward and saw that he was barely there and didn't really know what was going on, he was so drunk. What the hell were you thinking, Edward? He just looked at me and tried to stand up but he fell on his ass. I'm sorry big brother. He slurred. She casted a spell on me. Who did? Heidi. I was beyond shocked. Why would he sleep with her after what she did to him and Harper? Oh yeah, he's drunk and barely knows what he is doing. Yeah, and she is my girlfriend. And I went to your dumb fuck of a brother to talk like normal humans when he punched me in the face. No one ever punches me in the face, do you understand, you dick? He said, looking toward Edward. Do you have any idea who I am? What I am capable of? Edward was so out of it I don't even think he heard him. Listen, I'm sorry for what my brother did, but he's drunk, he doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, and you think that is a good excuse? Fuck no. He is lucky I just got off of probation or I would have killed the fucker. Instead I just gave him a couple of hits and I called the cops. They are on their way. What? You called the cops? The motherfucker assaulted me. If I am not going to waste my time on punishing him correctly, then the cops will. Right as he said it I heard the sirens and the cops were in the bar in no time. They came in and roughly pushed Edward on the floor face down. Hey, watch what you are doing. You're going to hurt him. I yelled while running toward where they were so I could try and help my little brother, but another officer held me back and I tried to fight against him. Sir, let us do our job. But he didn't do anything. He is just a kid. He has a daughter at home that needs him, he didn't mean it. I struggled some more and then another officer came and two were holding me back. The officer that was cuffing Edward pulled him up by the back of his hair and Edward yelped in pain. Stop hurting him. Jesus, what is wrong with you people? Jack, what is happening? Edward asked, panicking. I felt a tug at my heart seeing my little brother so helpless. It's all right, Edward. Just listen to what they say, okay? I will go get you, I'll get you out of this, just cooperate, all right, little brother. I yelled to him. He had his head down and looked nervous as hell even though he was still ridiculously drunk. I stopped struggling with the officers and asked if I could just go talk to him for a minute. They reluctantly agreed and I went over to Edward, who was now sitting in the chair again. There was an officer behind him, holding onto him, talking on the phone. Edward's head was down and I squatted down in front of him. I took his face in my hands and made him look at me. Jack, I'm scared, he said. Don't worry, okay? I told you I would get you out of this and I will. I just need you to help me out and just listen to whatever they tell you, okay? Okay, Jack. I kissed his forehead once, because I hate seeing my brother this scared and I wanted to reassure him. I love you, little brother. Love you, Jack, he mumbled. We have to go now. The officer took Edward out and put him in the police car. I looked around and saw that the guy who was beating up my brother must have left because he was no longer in the room. I went back to Ashley and told her I had to go but I would call her. She said she understood and gave me a kiss on the cheek. On the way out I saw Heidi sitting at the bar with a smirk on her face. I should say Somit hing to her but I decided against it because I needed to get Edward. I went to my car and sped down to the police station. I kept driving until all of a sudden another car whipped out in front of my car, coming towards me. I swerved so I wouldn't hit it. Everything went black. End flashback. It was the guy that was hitting me in the bar. I said through my tears, I could feel sobs building up, and I honestly felt like I was going to throw up. Turns out he was a pretty big drug dealer with a lot of connections. He rode my brother off the road and killed him as a way of getting to me. He thought he wasn't going to be caught but he was. He is still in jail. My parents went and got me out of jail that night and I knew something was wrong when Jack wasn't there. Once we left the police station, my mom and dad didn't say one thing to me until we got back to our house. Flashback. We pulled up to the house and my mom and dad walked into the house silently. I followed in behind them and knew I needed to call Jack and ask why he wasn't the one to pick me up. My parents got in the house faster than me and didn't even bother keeping the door open for me. As soon as I opened the door, someone punched me in the face. I fell to the ground and I didn't know who did it until I looked up and saw my dad standing over me with a murderous expression on his face. "This is all your fault, did you know that? You really are a useless piece of shit, Edward." I was so hurt and confused. "Why, what happened? What is my fault?" "It is your fault that your brother was killed last night." I felt like someone had pulled my heart from chest and then stomped on it. I felt like my whole world was going to come crashing down on me. What do you mean?" I asked weakly, already feeling like crying. "Your brother is dead. And he is dead because of you. I don't even want to look at you anymore, Edward. You make me sick. We know what you did at the bar and it is because of you that that guy went after your brother. He kicked me in the stomach and then looked away from me and tried to take calming breaths. I looked over at me mother, because usually she wasn't as mean as him, but she just had tears rolling down her face and looked away from me when my eyes met hers. "Me and your mother are going to the police station and the hospital to make some arrangements. We should be about 2 hours. And when we get back I want you and that child out of my house." "What? But Dad, Harper, I can't just leave with her. I don't have any money. We will starve. There are plenty of homeless shelters. You can keep the rest of the money that is in your trust fund. But you will not be getting the money that is supposed to be coming to you when you turn 30. But there are only about a couple of thousands in there. We can't live off of that." "I don't care. We are leaving now. You better be out by the time we get back." They both stepped over me to get to the door and I sat back up. I leaned up against the door and drew my knees to my chest and hugged them tightly. Tears started streaming down my face and I was a sobbing mess on the floor. I was brought out of it by the sound of small, hesitant feet on the ground. I looked up quickly to see my angel standing in the entryway of the foyer. She still had her nightgown on and was holding her blanket to her face. I suspected my parents must have left her with the butler when they came to get me. My baby had tears running down her face and she looked so scared. "Daddy," she said in a little voice. "Come here, baby." She ran to me and I let my knees fall and I opened my arms for her. Once she hit my chest she started sobbing and I felt the pain in my chest ache again. But I didn't cry because I need to be strong. I need to be strong for my baby, she is all I have left. I held her closely and tightly to my chest. She held onto my neck so tightly it began to hurt, but I didn't care. "Shish, my love, it's okay, Daddy's here. I am so sorry, baby. I promise I will make this better. I swear." Tilda end flashback Tilda. We stayed at a homeless shelter for about 2 weeks and then I met Al and he gave me a job and helped me get back on my feet. And then 3 months after Jack died, and me and Harper just moved into my apartment. A social worker was at my door telling me that Heidi was pregnant with my child. The only reason a social worker was there instead of Heidi was because Heidi was found in an alley passed out by drugs. They brought her to the hospital and found out she was pregnant. She was forced to stay in a rehab facility and she told them I was the father. They told me I had a choice to either keep the baby to take care of it, or they were going to take her into state's custody. There was no way I could just abandon my child, so I agreed to take her. They told me I needed to prepare for the worst though. Because since Heidi was doing so much drugs there was a possibility there would be complications. I went to the hospital when Avery was born but I was not allowed to be in the room. Heidi said she didn't want to see me. And then they brought her out and she was perfect, she was so perfect, Bella. I started sobbing at that point thinking about my baby girl and how scared I was for her health. Bella let go of my hands, sat on my lap, and put her arms around my neck. She had her chest against mine and had her legs locked behind my back. I wrapped my arms around her and continued crying and sobbing into her shoulder. She just held me tighter and she was shaking with her own tears. After I calmed down a little but, Bella spoke. "So that is why you told me it was the worst and best night of your life. Because you lost your brother and your parents but you also got Avery." I nodded my head and pulled away so I could look at Bella. No matter how many mistakes I made that night, and how much it was my fault that my brother is dead, I also got my Avery that night. And how can I look at my beautiful daughter and see how amazing, alive, and vibrant she is and think of it as a mistake? I love both of my girls with every fiber of my being. And I always will. But now I think you can understand why it is such a hard thing for me to talk about, because I miss Jack all the time. He was my rock. He helped me whenever I needed him, right to the end. But I can't stop feeling guilty for what happened because it was my fault. It wasn't your fault, Edward. You weren't the one who rode him off the road. Maybe not, but I was the reason he was there in the first place. When Avery was still a newborn, I had a hard time dealing with the pain and guilt I felt when it came to Jack. But then I realized that Jack wouldn't want me to not be there for my girls and he would want me to be happy. He is probably so proud of you right now, Edward. I felt myself sob again at just hearing her words because she was right. Jack was proud of me wherever he is. He was always proud of me no matter what I did. I held onto Bella tighter. But I feel like I am getting better. I feel like now I can get better. Now that you are with me, Bella, and I hope that doesn't scare you. That doesn't scare me at all, Edward. I love you, she said while looking into my eyes. I love you, too. I whispered and I meant it. I loved Bella. She made me feel better all the time, she made me feel whole. I brought her face to mine and kissed her to show her just how much I loved her. I felt much better now that I got all of that off of my chest. I am happy Bella was here and was willing to listen about my life, and actually care about it. And now with a cleared up mind and the woman I love in my arms kissing me, I was finally able to see the good I have done instead of all of the bad. I have a job that I work hard at. I make just enough money to keep a roof over my family's head and food for them to eat. I have an amazing girlfriend that I love deeply. And I have 2 beautiful daughters who were both turning out to be smart, caring and strong individuals. I hope you are proud of me, big brother, because I am proud of myself. And he says reach for the girl. Reach for the girl and hold her close. Believe you can shine when you're silver. And I promise you gold, I promise you gold. And whenever you're dark inside, don't let go, no, don't let go. Remember there's rain and there's candy and Christmassy winter snow. And remember I love you the same. And I'll strangle your pain. And he tells me to sing. So I sing, and I sing. For my brother who keeps me safe. And tells me everything will be okay. For my brother, by Blue October. Bella Pav. Ring, ring, ring. Who the fuck is calling me at this ungodly hour? The sun isn't even up. I groaned loudly and rolled over in bed so I can reach over to my bedside table and answer the phone. Whoever it is, they are going to get an earful. Hello, I said in a sleepy and slightly aggravated tone. Hello, love. Edward, why are you calling me so early? Is everything okay? Yeah, everything is fine, it's perfect actually. I'm on my way to work and I wanted tea. Oh no, if you would mind meeting me for lunch later on. I only called you this early because I forgot to ask you last night with everything that happened, and Al doesn't let us use phones unless it is an emergency, so. No, it's fine Edward. Really. And I would love to meet you for lunch. Where do you want to meet? Well, is there anywhere you would prefer, because I don't really go places to eat much. Yeah, I know this perfect little diner that isn't too far away from Boston Common. Sounds perfect. Why don't I pick you up from work? Sure, if you want to, that's fine. I might be a little dirty though, I don't want to ruin your car. They are leather seats so it doesn't really matter. Okay, thanks, Bella. I will see you later then because I just pulled up to work. Alright, bye Edward. I love you. I love you, too my Bella. Bye. I hung up with a big stupid smile on my face. He loves me. I plopped back down on my bed and tried to fall back asleep. Sleep was not coming to me though when I thought about what I would have to do today. Today I have to tell Edward. He told me all about his past, so I owe it to him to tell him about me. I should have done it a long time ago but I didn't, so I will now have to deal with the consequences. I was so proud of Edward when he told me about his past. After I heard what he went through, it made me want to take him in arms and never let anything like that happen to him again. He had been so strong though. There are not many people that would have been able to deal with some of the things Edward went through at such a young age. I hated Heidi. I have never met the girl. But I heard enough from Edward last night to know that I hated her with every fiber of my being. What kind of person takes advantage of people like she did, Edward? What kind of her doesn't care about a child that she has carried for 9 months? Especially when your children are as amazing as Harper and Avery. Along with Heidi, I also hated Edward's parents. What parent would abandon their child when they need them the most? Why couldn't they see what an amazing person Edward is? Why did they always try and pressure him to do things he didn't want to do? What kind of father would beat their son and say such cold and hurtful things to him? You would think that by Edward having such horrible people as parents, he would be just as horrible as them. But he is not, and I think it was because of Jack. I love Jack. He helped Edward whenever he needed him right to the very end. It made me feel a little better knowing that Edward had at least one constant being in his life. Had loved him while all of the horrible shit was going on in his life. I wish I could meet Jack Cullen just once, so I can tell him thank you for caring for Edward. I checked the time on the clock and saw that it was only 7 in the morning. I got up and decided to call Alice and see if she would come over. I haven't seen her in a while and I missed her. I got my cell phone and called Alice. Now it was early, but Alice is an early bird anyway. Hello, Alice said cheerfully. How can she be so perky this early? Hey Alice, it's Bella. Oh hey Bella, I've missed you. You haven't called me in a while. Yes, sorry about that, I've been kind of busy. Is busy what they are calling it these days? She asked in a teasing tone. Shut up Alice, you know that is not what I meant. She laughed. I'm just messing you Bella. What are you doing right now? Nothing, I actually called you to see if you could come over. I would like to ask your advice on some things about Edward. I'll be there in 10 with donuts. I laughed because Alice was obsessed with donuts. Alright, see ya. I finally got my lazy ass out of bed and got dressed. I decided on a simple white versus neck t-shirt and a pair of skinny jeans. I went to the kitchen to start making some coffee when I heard Alice walk in. She has a key to the house. Honey, I'm home, she yelled rather loudly. I'm in the kitchen, I yelled back. I heard her heels click on the hardwood floor towards the kitchen. Hello my dear, she said all proper like. I laughed at her weirdness. What's up Alice? Nothing much. Well actually it's Jasper's birthday in about 2 weeks, so I have been planning his party. Oh that's cool. You're going to go right? Of course I am Alice, you and Jasper are 2 of my best friends. Aw thanks Bella. I poured myself a cup of coffee and then gave Alice one. Why do you have that smile on your face? I don't know what you are talking about Alice. I lied. I do know. I have a permanent smile on my face. I was high, Edward high. You know exactly what I am talking about. I take it things all worked out with that guy of yours. The smile on my face faltered a little. Actually I haven't told him yet. What? You haven't told him yet? Why not Bella? You said you were the first time you guys went on a date. I know, but believe it or not a lot has happened since then, and I have only seen him a couple times. All of the other times I have talked to him were when we were on the phone. And that is not something you tell someone over the phone. But you do plan on telling him, right? Of course I'm going to tell him Alice. I am going to tell him today. We are meeting for lunch and I am going to tell him because he deserves to know. She nodded her head and then began sipping her coffee. So I take it things are going well between you two. The stupid smile reappeared on my face full blast. It is perfect. I love him Alice. She was sipping her coffee when I was saying that, and when I did, she spit it all over the place. What? Did I hear you right? Did you just say you love him? Yes I did. I love him. I don't see why she was being all dramatic about this. Wow. She paused for a second and got a cloth from one of my cabinets to clean the mess she made. So this is the real thing, huh? Yes. She sat down on the stool near my island and looked lost in thought. What's the matter Alice? I thought you would be happy for me. Her head shot up and she looked apologetic. No, of course I am happy for you Bella. I have been waiting for you to find someone you can be with in love for so long now. I'm just worried I guess, well more scared for you really. You're confusing me Alice. Why are you scared? I love him, he is the most amazing man I have ever met in my life. That is great Bella. I'm just scared of how other people will look at this and how they will react. Especially your father. I stared at her a moment and got a little sad. You think I haven't thought about that too, Alice. But what am I supposed to do? Just tell him, I love you, Ed. Ward, but I don't want to be with you because of what other people think. I can't do that to him Alice. It makes it seem like I am ashamed of him, and I'm not. I am so proud of him and I feel honored. To even be in same room as him half the time. I could feel the tears building in my eyes and I sat down next to Alice on the other stool. I don't give a fuck what other people think Alice. Alice shot up off of her stool and dragged me off of hers, and she hugged me while squealing and jumping up and down. "Aw, I'm so proud of you, Bella. And I am so happy for you. It's about time you stick up for yourself." I laughed at Alice's enthusiasm and wiped the tears from my eyes. "Thank you, Alice." We both sat back down at the island. "So tell me about him, Bella." So I did. I told her all about how amazing he was and all of the things I love about him. I also told her about the girls and how amazing they were as well. "Do you think I could have his number?" "Hey, he's my boyfriend, Alice, back off. Listen to you all protective and shit. I don't want your man, Bella. I have one of those for myself. I would just like to call him and talk to him and make sure he is good enough for you. I think I need to be the one worrying if I am good enough for him." "Oh my God, Bella, I'm so happy for you." She jumped up and hugged me again. "Yeah, I'm pretty damn happy too. I made it to the building he was working on at about 11:45. I texted him to let him know I was there and waited for him. I looked up at the building they were currently working on and noticed it looked like a school. It looked like it was almost done. I was pulled out of my inspection of the building when Edward came walking towards my car. Oh my God, my boyfriend is fucking hot. He was walking toward me with worn-out jeans and a white wife beater. He had a dirty blue cloth hanging out of the front pocket of his jeans and a hard hat under his arm. His hair was even more messed up than it usually was and looked slightly dusty. He was a little dirty too. When he told me he was going to be dirty, I thought he meant like really gross and dirty, but he wasn't. He just had a little bit of smeared dirt or something on his shirt and a spot on his jeans. I never thought looking dirty could look so good. I was practically drooling when he finally made it to the car. Before he stepped in, he shook out his hair with his hands to get the dirt out and then climbed into the seat. "Whoa, Bella, this is a nice car." He wasn't able to say anything after that because I attacked him. I grabbed his face in my hands and kissed him as hard as I could. I shifted myself so I could face him more and leaned over the center console so I could kiss him deeper. My tongue slid in his mouth and he reciprocated the action. I moaned slightly and I made out with my beautiful boyfriend for a couple of minutes like a lovesick teenager. Eventually we had to pull away because unfortunately air is a necessity and we weren't getting much of it. We both nected our lips, but I still held his face in my hands and looked at him. That big stupid smile was back on my face. "Well, hello to you too, Bella." I laughed and pecked him on the lips once. "Do you have any idea how handsome you are?" He blushed and looked down. "And did I mention cute, too?" "Thank you, Bella. Do you realize how beautiful you are?" "I never did, but you make me feel like it." "Well, I'm glad. You should feel beautiful all the time." He kissed me once this time and then I pulled away completely. I pulled out of the parking lot of the building to make our way to the diner. Edward grabbed my hand that wasn't steering the car and kissed the back of it. "I love you, Bella. I love you, too. And I have decided that you are going to let me buy lunch today because I forgot to give you your birthday present yesterday. You don't have to get me anything. It's too late, I already did. I just didn't get to give it to you because I forgot it at my house." "Well, how about we split the bill then?" "Nice try, but no. Just let me do this for you, Edward, please." He was silent for a moment but he agreed. "Whatever makes you happy, love." I smiled through the whole ride. He was telling me about how Avery was sleep-talking in the middle of the night. Apparently Avery dreams of ice cream sandwiches and spam while she sleeps. She really is one of a kind. I pulled up to the diner and noticed a black car pull in right next to me. I looked over really quick and saw that there were two men in the car and they were both looking at me. "Please do not be paparazzi. Please." We both got out of the car and I grabbed Edward's hand and tried to rush into the diner. "He can't find out like this. He just can't." We made it inside without the men getting out of the car, so I just figured I was overreacting. An old waitress came over and seated us immediately. She seated us in a booth and Edward sat right next to me. I was glad because I missed him today and wanted to be close to him. "So what do you recommend at this place?" "I would recommend their classic cheeseburger. I bet you $5 you will say it is the best cheeseburger you have ever had." He smiled and nodded his head, still looking at the menu. I was about to say what I would recommend for dessert when his phone started ringing. He looked confused and took the phone out to look at the caller ID. He had a confused look on his face, so I guess he didn't know who it was. I'm sorry, Bella, I hope you don't mind. I shook my head and gestured for him to pick it up. Hello. I heard a faint voice on the other end. It was definitely a woman. I looked at Edward's face and saw his expression become one of panic. Wait, she is okay, isn't she? Who is okay? By the look on Edward's face I could guess it must have been about one of the girls because he looked like he was going to throw up. I'll be there in 10 minutes, just let her know I am coming, okay? He said bye and hung up the phone. What is it, Edward? He got up from the booth and grabbed my hand, bringing me out of the diner and towards the car. I am so sorry, Bella, but could you please drive me to the girls' school? Something happened with Harper and they need me to pick her up. Of course, Edward. What happened? We were both in the car at this point and already on the road. Edward was in the passenger seat and his face in his hands. I'm not exactly sure, the lady on the phone just said that some of the other kids were picking on Harper and it got out of hand. Oh no, Edward, she is okay though, right? Yes, she said she was okay, but she wanted me to come get her. He picked up his ace from his hands and began wiping his hands on his jeans. I could tell that his hands were shaking. It was silent for a moment before Edward was all of a sudden yelling. I mean, why do kids have to be so cruel to her? She never does anything to them. She doesn't deserve this. And why wasn't a teacher around to stop this? She shouldn't have to go through this. He was sweating now and his hands were really shaking. I pulled up to the school and Edward went to reach for the door handle, but I grabbed his arm. He looked irritated, but I had to get him to calm down. Edward, look at me. He looked up at me and his expression broke my heart. You need to calm down, okay? Harper is probably really upset right now, and if she sees you like this she is only going to get even more upset. He nodded his head and took a couple of deep breaths. Will you come in with me? Of course. We both got out and I held his hand to let him know I was here for him. We walked into the school and made our way to the main office. When we made it there and what I saw made me want to cry on the spot. In the corner of the main office was Harper, curled up on the black leather chair. Her hair and her shirt was all covered in red paint. Like someone poured a bucket of paint over her head. How could kids do this to her? Edward let go of my hand and ran to her once she was in sight. When she heard the door open she looked up, and at the sight of him, started crying uncontrollably. Edward had her in his arms in no time, paying no mind to the red paint that was currently getting on his clothes and skin. Harper had her little arms wrapped around his neck so tightly her knuckles were white. Edward was shushing her and telling her everything was going to be okay. What the hell happened to my daughter? He practically yelled at the principal who was in the room. Some of the little girls who were in Harper's classroom thought it was funny to pour a bucket of paint on her. I assure you these girls are all being early disciplined and their parents have been notified. And where was the teacher when all of this was happening? Mr. Cullen, one teacher has to keep track of 20 children at one time. The girls who have done this did this while they knew the teacher wasn't paying attention. Edward didn't look satisfied with that answer, but he didn't push it for now. Can someone please go get my other daughter, Avery, so I can take them both home? Of course, Mr. Cullen. The principal left to go and get Avery. I looked back to Edward and Harper and could see Harper was still crying into Edward's shoulder. Shush baby, please stop crying, it's okay. You're okay, I'm here, Daddy's here, just calm down, my love, okay? Harper nodded her head in his neck and tried to take calming breaths. Suddenly she lifted her head and looked at Edward in the eye. I didn't do anything to them, Daddy, I promise. Edward looked like he was going to cry, but he hid it well. I know you didn't, I'm not mad at you, honey. We are going to go home now, okay? She nodded her head and then rested her head back on his shoulder. Seconds later Avery came skipping down the hall with her little pink backpack on, with the principal right behind her. She saw me first, because I was right at the end of the hall. Beulah. What are you doing here? She ran up to me with a big smile on her face. I picked her up and she whipped her head to where Edward was with Harper. The smile on her face instantly went away and tears immediately fell down her face. What's the matter with Harper, Daddy? She asked in a weak voice. Edward walked loser to us and wiped Avery's tears away with his thumb. We will talk about it when we get home, okay, princess? She nodded her head and then put her head on my shoulder. I let us out of the door and hot I was going to throw up at what was outside. At least 20 paparazzi were waiting outside of the school as we left. I heard Edward ask what the hell was going on behind me and I held on tighter to Avery and tried to make it through. They were all so loud screaming questions at me left and right. Isabella, who is this man? Is that your boyfriend? Are you a mother to these children, Isabella? Sir, how do you know Isabella Swan? It seemed like a lifetime before we got to the car. Once we did, Edward got in the back with the girls and I went to the front seat. I noticed the black car from the diner a couple of spaces away from me. Fuckers. The girls were both screaming and crying in the back seat, mixture of sadness of the events of today and fear of what just happened out there. I look through the rear view mirror to see Edward try and console the girls. I can tell the anger on his face. Edward the first. You know what, Bella? I have no idea what the fuck that was, but as you can tell I don't have time to talk about that shit right now. Avery began crying louder at hearing her father yell like that and he shushed her and rubbed her back. Can you please just take me home? But Edward, I can express. We can talk about this another time, Bella. Just bring me home, and I will call you when I am ready to talk to you, okay? I nodded my head and made my way to his house. The girls calmed down a little bit when we pulled up and Edward was quick to grab both girls and leave the car. He didn't say one word to me as he left. What have I done? No warning sign, no alibi. We're fading faster than the speed of light. Took a chance. Crashed and burned. No one will ever learn. Alibi, by 30 seconds to Mars. Edward Pav. What the hell just happened? I woke up this morning feeling the happiest I've been in a long time. I finally got someone to tell about my life and it took a weight off of my mind that I didn't know was there. I loved Bella and Bella loved me. My daughters were safe and happy. Why wouldn't I be happy? I called Bella ridiculously early this morning because I wanted us to meet for lunch and I wanted to hear her voice before I went to work. When she came over and we had a little make-out session in the car, I thought today was going to be one of the best days of my life. I was wrong. This was turning out to be a very bad day. I'm climbing up the steps, with both of my crying daughters in my arms. My mind is moving a million miles a second. What the hell just happened? Why were there paparazzi following Bella? How did they know her name? Why didn't she tell me about that? The only thing I could think of is that Bella is famous for some reason. But how could I have not known about that? Why didn't she tell me? I think that is something you should tell a significant other. Daddy, Harper asked in sweet, sad voice. I looked down at my sweet little girl and saw that she looked so sad and confused. I needed to help my little girl right now, so I will need to wait until later to think about the Bella situation. My girls need me. What is it, baby? I made it to my door and had to put Avery down so I could unlock the door. She stood close and held onto my pant leg. Once the door was open, I grabbed her little hand and led them both to the bathroom. Why were there people taking pictures of us, Daddy? Why were they yelling at Bella? She began to become upset again. Shish, we will talk about it later, okay? She nodded her head and I began running a shower for her. She usually takes her own showers because she thought she was old enough to do it, but she let me help her time because it was going to be hard to get this paint out of her hair. Avery sat on the side of the tub, resting her head on the side of it while sniffling and trying not to cry again. She just wanted to be close. Even though Avery was younger than Harper, she still loved her older sister very much and was very protective of her, and Harper felt the same way. I led Harper's head to the spray of water and ran my hand through her hair gently to try and get as much as I could out with just the water pressure. The water at the bottom of the tub was tinted red, and I could already see it staining the tub, but I don't give a fuck. I had to shampoo her hair 3 times before I got it all out. I took her out and wrapped her in a towel and brought her to her room to change her. Once she was dressed, she went to her bed and laid down. Avery climbed up on the bed next to her and curled up on Harper's side. Harper snuggled up with her and brought the blanket around them both. Daddy, can you lay with us please? Harper asked me. I walked over to the bed and kissed both of their foreheads. Of course I will, just let me go clean up and change, I'll be right back, I promise. She nodded her head and I made my way to the closet in the hall to get some clothes. I went to the bathroom and when I got there, I looked at my reflection in the mirror. My hair was fucked up like it usually is and my face looked horrible. I have red paint all over my face and neck. My shirt was probably ruined by the amount of paint that was on it. I brought both of my shaking hands to the sides of the sinks and tried to pull myself together. But then I saw the pile of my daughter's paint-stained clothes on the floor and stained bathtub. I lost it. The tears rolled down my face relentlessly as the events of today caught up with me. I thought about the whole thing with Bella and felt confused and hurt. I was confused as to what the hell that was out there, and I was hurt that Bella would keep something like that from me when I trusted her enough to pretty much bare my soul to her. I thought about my beautiful daughter and all she had to go through today. Why do kids have to always be so mean to her? Why can't they realize how beautiful, smart, funny, and amazing my baby is? Why wasn't there a teacher there when those little bitches were harassing my daughter? I grabbed a new cloth from the cabinet in the bathroom and wet it with water. I took my shirt off and began scrubbing the red paint off of me. I had a little bit in my hair, but that will have to wait until later because I have my girls waiting for me. Once I was changed, and I had the paint off of my face and body, I splashed water on my face so you couldn't tell I was crying. I made my way to the girls' room and I felt like I was going to start crying again at the sight before me. Harper was lying down on her side and little Avery was also lying on her side up against Harper's chest. Harper had her right arm protectively around Avery and she was rubbing her back. Avery also had an arm around Harper and her little hand was fisted in the back of Harper's shirt. Avery was sleeping, but Harper was still awake. I went over to the bed and climbed in beside Avery so I was facing Harper. I got under the covers with them and wrapped my arm over the both of them. I ran my hand up and down Harper's back and kissed her forehead. "How are you feeling, baby?" I whispered so I wouldn't wake Avery. "I guess I feel better, but not that much. I just feel so stupid." "Why would you feel stupid? You did nothing wrong." "Yeah, but they were all making foo of me before they poured the paint on me and I didn't even tell them to stop. I just ignored them and then they got even madder and that was why they did it." I could see tears in her eyes again and it literally broke my heart. "Honey, this is in no way your fault and I don't want you to think that for even a minute. I also don't want you to think you are stupid because you are far from stupid." The tears started falling down her cheeks. "Yeah, but they all called me stupid and they called me ugly." "How?" I cut her off right away. "And what did I say? I told you, you were the smartest and most beautiful 7-year-old on the earth. That should be the only words you believe, the words I tell you. You should only listen to what the people who love you think about you. I have told you that before. I really need you to understand that, baby." I wiped the tears from her eyes. "I know, Daddy, but it still hurts my feelings," she said. "I know, baby, I know it does. But you have to learn to not let them get to you. The only reason they do this is to get a reaction out of you. So do me a favor, if they ever make fun of you again, just act like it doesn't bother you and be really nice to them." "But how am I supposed to do that when it does hurt me?" "But you don't let it hurt you. Look at Daddy, baby." She looked up into my eyes. "Don't ever care about what other people think about you. You have one job on this earth. And one job only. You need to be Harper Elizabeth Cullen all the time, and you need to be okay with that. Don't let anyone tell you you are anything short of amazing and never try and change yourself, okay?" "Okay, Daddy, and I will try and not let them see they are hurting me." "Okay, that is good, baby. If they keep on picking on you though, you need to tell me, okay? Because then I will get to try and help you." "Okay, Daddy, I will tell you." I kissed her forehead again and wiped the rest of her tears off of her face. "Daddy loves you so much, Harper. You know that, right?" "I know, Daddy. I love you too. You and Avery are my best friends." I smiled and kissed her forehead once again. I pulled my girls tighter to me and watched as Harper slowly started falling asleep. I followed soon after. The next morning I went into the girls' room to wake them up and bring them to school. Al let me take the day off because of all that happened yesterday. And I was going to take this opportunity to talk things over with Bella. As much as I was upset about yesterday, I missed her and I wanted to give her a chance to explain the fiasco that we encountered yesterday. I walked through the girls' door and saw that they were both still sleeping and they were both on the same bed. When I put them to bed yesterday, they were both on their own bed. But it seems Avery wanted to be close to her sister. I woke up Harper first because I knew she would be the easiest to get up and going. She kissed me on the cheek when she got up and got her clothes and went to get dressed in the bathroom. Surprisingly, Avery woke up when she didn't feel her sister next to her and she looked around in confusion. Once she saw my face, she jumped in my arms. "What are you doing here, Daddy? I am going to bring you girls to school this morning." "That's good, Daddy." She rested her sleepy head on my shoulder and yawned loudly. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Princess. Why don't we go pick out an outfit for today?" She nodded her head and I made my way over to her bureau. I took out her favorite red ladybug shirt and a pair of jeans. Avery was standing next to me rubbing her eyes. I took her pajama shirt off and got her ladybug shirt ready to put on her. As I was about to slip the shirt on her head, Avery freaked out and swatted the shirt away quickly. "Me no wanna wear dat shirt." "Why not, baby? It's your favorite shirt, and red is your favorite color. I don't like wet anymore, okay?" she said in a frustrated tone. It sounded like she was going to start crying. I was about to ask her why. But then I realized why on my own. Red reminds her of what happened to Harper yesterday. My poor baby. I nodded my head and got a different shirt for her. She seemed to calm down. But she still remained quiet the whole morning. I dropped the girls off at school and then made my way to Bella's house. I hope she is home because I really don't want to have this conversation at her work. I pulled up into her driveway and then made my way to her door. I rang the doorbell twice and she came to the door almost immediately. "Edward," she said rather breathlessly. She looked like she hadn't slept that night and her eyes were puffy. Seeing her like that made a pain go to my chest and I just wanted to hold her. I restrained myself though because she had some explaining to do. "Can I come in?" "Of course, come in, please." I walked through the threshold and was shocked at how huge Bella's house was. I knew it was big by the way it looked on the outside, but actually seeing it in the inside was another story. She led me to her living room, which was also fucking huge. "How much money does Bella have? You can sit down if you want." "No, I'm okay." She nodded her head sadly and sat down on her black leather couch. I paced in front of her and she gave me the time to think and figure out how to start this. "Look, Bella, I really don't know what to say. The only thing that I can think to ask you is what the hell happened yesterday. That was paparazzi following me." She paused for a second. "But I'm sure you figured that out on your own." I guess I should just tell you everything." She paused again and inhaled deeply. When the breath came out it was shaky and I could tell she was trying not to cry. "My dad's name is Charlie Swan. Have you ever heard of him?" I have here. The name, but I don't really know much about him." "Well, my dad is the owner of a computer software company that is probably one of the biggest in the world. It's right there near Microsoft and my dad is a billionaire. And by him being a billionaire he has become really famous. Which then makes me rich and also famous. I'm famous kind of like Paris Hilton is. I am only known because my father is one of the richest men in the world. Paparazzi like to follow me because they are waiting for me to do something stupid, really. They love it when I'm out at a club with my friends because they think they will get a great picture. Some days are better than others, but it is probably going to get worse now since my dad's company is going to be launching a new software in a couple of weeks." I thought this over for a minute and then realized how hurt I was. Bella was already crying and I felt like I was going to cry too. "And this isn't something you thought you should share with me?" I was going to Edward, I swear. "It's just things were always getting in the way and I honestly forget when I am with you." She wiped the tears that were on her cheek but they were quickly replaced by new ones. "I'm sorry, Edward. I was going to tell you on our first date but I thought you wouldn't want to date a rich girl like me." "You being rich has nothing to do with this, Bella. How could I judge you about how much money you have when you don't judge me by my lack of money? What I am upset about is that you didn't even tell me." I was beginning to become angry and frustrated. I think I should have known something like this. Now there are pictures of me and my girls probably all over the internet now. And what about Harper? She was covered in fucking paint. What if people in her school see that? Bella began sobbing. I know, Edward. I feel like shit, okay. Why didn't you just tell me, Bella? We could have worked it out. If you would have told me, we could have tried to be more careful. I was afraid you were going to leave me. And I didn't want you to get upset. So lying to me was a better alternative. I yelled pretty loudly. Bella jumped at the sound and began crying some more. Standing here, not matter how mad I was right now, I still wanted to go to her and tell her to stop crying because it was breaking my heart. You know, Bella, this would be different if it was just me. But it's not, and you have known that from the beginning. And now my daughters are probably going to be on the covers of magazines. I'm sorry, Edward, she said weakly. I wish there was a way for you to forgive me because I love you so much, Edward. She began sobbing again and put her head in her hands. I love you so much, she said in a whisper. And that was my breaking point. I rushed from my spot across from her and sat on the couch and pulled her onto my lap, and I wrapped my arms around her. She clung to me once she was in my arms and continued sobbing. Shish, Bella, I love you too, but you have to understand why I am hurt right now, can't you? She sniffled a couple of times. I know, and I'm so sorry, Edward. It's just I trusted you, Bella, with everything inside of me. I even told you about my past that I haven't told anyone before. And I thought you trusted me too, but I guess I was wrong. No, of course I trust you, Edward. I trust you more than anyone in this world. Then why didn't you trust me enough to tell me? I asked, frustrated again. It was because I was scared and selfish, okay. She began really crying again, and I rubbed my hand on her back to try and calm her down. I was afraid of what you would think. And I was afraid you would have left me. So I put it off for as long as I could. I meant to tell you every time I saw you, but then when I was with you I would just tell myself, just one more day. Bella, I just wanted to be happy with you for one more day. She put her head back on my shoulder and squeezed me around my middle. And I was going to tell you today, I swear, but then the whole thing with Harper happened. And I didn't know the paparazzi were going to follow us. And now I feel like shit because Harper and Avery shouldn't have had to go through that, especially after what happened. And I didn't want you to have to find out like that. And now you are probably really upset with me, and want to leave, and I'm not going to leave you, Bella. You're not. Of course I'm not. I love you, Bella. And the paparazzi and fame are a part of your life, and a part of who you are. How can I sit here and tell you I love you, but leave you just because of your lifestyle? I'm not going to lie and say the whole situation didn't upset me, because it did. I'm hurt that you didn't trust me and tell me sooner, but what's done is done, and all we have to do now is try and figure out how to go from here. She once again lifted her head from my shoulder, but this time she grabbed my face and brought her lips to mine. It was only a quick kiss, but it was enough to make me feel better. I really missed Bella. I love you, Edward. And I'm sure you don't want to hear it again, but I really am truly sorry. I know you are, love. Just don't keep things like that from me anymore, okay? She nodded her head and kissed me again. The kiss was just getting hot when she all of a sudden shot off of my lap. Wait right here, I am going to go get your birthday present. Ah, Bella, I told you you didn't have to get me anything. Shut up, Edward, she said while walking out of the room. She returned moments later with a rectangle gift wrapped in blue wrapping paper. She sat down next to me and handed it to me. It's not much. That's okay. I gave her a chaste kiss on the lips and began unwrapping the gift. Once I saw what was underneath, I felt a lump in my throat. Brave New World, I whispered. Yeah, I know. You said you wanted to read it, so I cut her off by kissing her slowly and passionately. Thank you, Bella, this is the most thoughtful gift anyone has ever given me. She put her hands on my cheeks and brought my lips back to hers. She pecked me a couple of times and then said, "You're welcome, babe." I smiled and kissed her again. After a while I ran my tongue along her lips, silently asking for permission to enter. She obliged and our tongues met. She moaned against my mouth and fisted her hands in my hair. I lowered her on the couch and got on top of her much like I did on our first date. She hid her hands under my shirt and ran her hands along my bare back. We stood like that, making out and touching on her couch for I don't even know how long. It didn't matter really. She all of a sudden took her lips from mine and I switched to placing open-mouthed kisses on her neck. Oh, I forgot to tell you, she said in a breathless voice. My best friend Alice is going to want to meet you soon and oh, the whole protective best friend thing with you. I took my face away from her neck and kissed her once on the lips. Roro. I said in my best Scooby-Doo impression. She laughed against my lips. You're such a dork, she said, alternating between kissing me and laughing. You love it, I suppose. This time we laughed together and then we began kissing again like the lovesick people we were. I was happy the way today was turning out. Now that Bella has finally told me, I hope we can get a break from all of the drama we have had to go through together. Sometimes you don't always get what you want. A cloud hangs over and mutes my happiness. 1,000 ships couldn't sail me back from distress. Wish you were here. I'm a wounded satellite. I need you now, put me back together, make me right. Anna Molly, by Incubus. Thank you for watching. Here's episode 1 ends. If you liked this video, subscribe for more episodes of this fiction.